Good morning. This is Newswire. I am Stephanie Wangari. A multi-agency security operation has been launched at Kakiteite village in Turkana sub-county, where lives were lost and livestock stolen by bandits. According to the National Police Service, the multi-agency will arrest perpetrators, recover stolen animals and firearms, and return normalcy to the area. The police service has condemned the actions of the bandits, saying it would not tolerate impunity. This comes hours as President William Ruto said he had received a comprehensive report on the Turkana Pokot incident that led to 10 security officers losing their lives. He has since promised that the area will be secured henceforth.
They always complained that they were curtailed by the fact that they had to look for resources in the office of the president. I have now separated their budget. They are running their own budget. They are running their own plan. They have their own strategy. And we will be demanding from them security of Kenyans because that is their mandate. And we will be making sure that they deliver on that mandate.
The president said he had instructed security agencies to deal firmly, decisively and conclusively with those involved.
I want you to pray for the peace of our country. Kenya is an anchor state. Many countries. I spoke to many leaders over the last couple of weeks, and they are looking at Kenya to provide solutions for the peace of our region, from Somalia to Ethiopia to DRC to South Sudan and the whole of this region.
Kenya Red Cross Security General Officer Asha Mohammed says the organization has paid a visit to counties that have been adversely affected by hunger. Mohammed says that the situation continues to worsen by the day. Some of area residents have relayed their troubles.
Tumalima, tumakosa chakula, mvua itageuka.
Hata maji ya kunywa labda unaenda kilomita zaidi ya 10, ukiangalia mirai inakauka jote. Akia Mungu serikali ile tunalilia ituangalilia isia kusema ati Meru kuna ni kusuri.
Hapa tuko na mwaka 3 bila kupata hata nini, hata chakula hata nini. Na hapa hakuna maji. Ni mbati tu, hata watu wengine hawatoki kwa nyumba.
Speaking on Citizen TV yesterday, Mohammed called on the government, saying that drought has also affected the education in the areas.
The situation is very dire, I would say. And for us as an organization, we've been on the ground since the beginning. And I have been to some of these communities repeatedly, I would say, to the extent that you can see the deterioration that is actually happening. We need to go beyond calling it just a food crisis and hunger crisis. It's actually a crisis of human existence. If you go out there and see how people are living, you reach a point where when communities start to despair, communities start to lose hope, it's no longer just about giving them food. It's about their dignity, it's about livelihoods.
This comes even as Mandera Governor Adan Khalif urged President William Ruto to declare drought a national disaster after several counties, including his own, slipped into the alarm phase. Speaking to journalists, Khalif raised concerns on the biting drought situation in the region, which he attributed to climate change, evident in the failed of 4 rainy seasons since 2020. Now, ODM leader Raila Odinga will today chair a meeting of the Central Management Committee amidst growing discontent in his 17-year-old party. The party's top decision-making organ meeting is expected to address 20 issues that threaten to tear it apart. However, ODM National Chairman John Mbadi said the meeting's agenda will be to approve the party's books of account. Wafula Boke, who is an ardent ODM supporter and a second liberation hero, said the party is currently in a state of hopelessness after Raila lost the presidency. Boke said it was sad that the ODM leader was under capture by a team that orchestrated his loss in the just concluded general election. That's your news at the top of the hour. My name is Stephanie Wangari.
SpiceFM, Nyeri. This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice FM. Spice up your life.
Monday morning, and it looks like we're not getting off to a bad start, at least not just yet. We're looking at a little bit of traffic. It's getting into the city. Coming off Jogo Road is also not too bad, at least not for now. Getting out towards Landis will be all right. And coming off the Thika Superhighway, traffic has just started to build up past that Outer Ring Junction, past the drive-in, and then out towards Survey. We're keeping an eye on things this morning. Let's take a look at the western side of the city. It doesn't look too bad for now. Coming out of Westerns should not be too difficult. And Ring Road Westerns at James Gishuru, we know that will pack up later. But it looks like we started off the morning not too bad instead. Let us know what's going on where you are, guys. I want to keep Monday morning moving. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Let us know what's going on where you are. Again, keep things moving this morning.
Spice FM, Nakuru. This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down.
Yeah, let's
This
start the day
is
then.
The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Good morning and welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation, The Situation Room.
Yes.
How you doing?
Ndu is fine, thank you.
Ndu is fine, thank you. Fine, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Ah, very, very goody.
Mambo lakini.
Mambo yangu iko sawa.
How's your weekend?
Mambo iko freshi.
Wait now. How's your weekend?
Weekend ilikuwa salama.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Bas.
I didn't see you at the concours.
Did you go?
I didn't see you there.
Why didn't you see me?
I don't know why you weren't you there.
Allah? You should have seen me. What's wrong? Well, how are you? Where were you? Which side were you looking that you didn't see me? I don't understand.
Anyway, the man is back. Guess who's back? Back again. Charlie's back.
Hear ye. Bum-ba-dum. I invite you all to the village square. The king has returned.
What have you guys been doing in my absence?
Preparing for your return.
And what have you been doing in my absence? The question means precisely that. What have you been doing in my absence?
We've been preparing for your return.
We've been preparing for your return. We fluffed up the carpet. We fattened the cow. Now that you're here.
And your fields and commitments.
Exactly. It cost a pretty sum.
How you doing, City?
Very well, thank you. This leave is a good thing.
It is, eh?
Oh, man, isn't it just?
Yeah?
Oh, it is.
How did it feel?
I could have gone on a bit more.
Oh, stop it.
Ungeongeza kidogo.
Yes, kama wiki moja.
Wiki mbili tatu.
In fact, I was supposed to come back tomorrow. And I figured, no. Week doesn't begin on Tuesday.
No, I can't give you.
Week begins on Monday.
Let it begin
properly on Monday.
Properly.
So that I can get properly tired by Wednesday.
It's good to have you back, man.
Thank you, sir. It's good to see you, folks.
Did you enjoy your time out?
Actually, I rested.
That is very important.
I rested. Walk in the morning, walk in the evening, rest, read. Not watch news.
Nothing.
No. News I wasn't watching.
Nothing.
Bought newspaper, didn't read. But started reading on Sunday. I mean, what is the use of being on
just
leave?
to catch up.
Yes, I mean, here, my work is with news, predominantly.
If you start dealing with news, then you're still working.
I'm still working, so I did not see. So I saw, having not seen, that...
I did not see, but
so
I
saw. Yeah, see?
See?
Yeah, the side which can't see, but then you end up seeing. So I saw and decided, better not to read. But it is nice to see you folks.
It's nice to see you
delighted to
too,
be back at work.
Quite delightful, I think.
Yes.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
Welcome everybody to the show. Let me tell you what we're going to be discussing today. Today is World Contraceptives Day. What does that mean? Kila mtu pil.
Pewa. Sorry.
There's a valid question I asked. What have you two been up to in my absence?
So, the man at the top, the Oga at the top, the Director of Medical Services in charge of promotive and preventive health at the Ministry of Health, Dr. Andrew Mulwa, will be here with all the goodies to talk to us about World Contraceptives Day 2022. What does it mean? What's it all about? And then let's talk about use of contraceptives. Remember that story that was in the papers on Friday?
Oh, God, yes. The really
about
scary
this
one.
So-called Chinese herbal contraceptive.
Monthly.
Yeah. Just take a pill monthly and you're sorted.
And then what happened?
People started growing things, Bana. City.
What?
People's babies started morphing into things they were not supposed to.
What? They had more fingers, more hands?
No, they turned from male to female or female to male.
You start developing too early.
Developing too early.
And then, such things.
yes, reproductive organs, then the one that is not supposed to then became more dominant.
Wait, but the reproductive organs were where they're supposed to be.
Well, one would hope. Then thereafter, the thing is that usually when we talk about contraception, the pill is a daily affair. But the pill, the birth control pill is a daily affair. This one was a monthly one. This one of these guys is a monthly one. Even like the shots are a quarterly affair. So if you get the shot, you come. Not like the other one. And then there's also the implant, which is, for 5 years. But you're looking at a release, a minute release of the drug on a daily. So the question started to arise, how do you have monthly contraception? And now we see that, there were adverse effects. And there was now,
And where exactly did these contraceptives come from?
They say it's herbal, and those who are selling it claim it's Chinese herbal. I keep saying they claim it's Chinese because
it's Chinese.
I mean,
it's herbal, everything. So anyway, Dr. Mulwa will be here. He'll tell us why the government is cautioning everybody against going for those kichoro-choro things. That is at 7 a.m. At 8 o'clock, let's talk about devolution in the counties, but also let's look at the role of deputy governors. Remember, the former deputy governor of Nyeri County was the chair of the Deputy Governors Forum, right?
yes.
And Dr. Caroline Karogo was championing, together with her colleagues, the issue of deputy governors getting more role and more say in the management of the county. We have a new deputy governor chair Deputy Governor's Forum Chairperson, and his name is Martin Moshisho Martine. He is the Deputy Governor of Kajiado County. He'll be here with us at 8 o'clock. Let's talk about what the Deputy Governors will be pushing for in this term. At 9 o'clock, we talk to a man who is from Elgeyo Marakwet County. His name is Tim Kipchumba. He's a co-founder of Questworks and author and a mentor, and a man who runs a mentorship program for young people across the country. Has the Hustler's Promise, the bottom up, the Kenyan Hustler's Dream. He'll be here. He'll also be telling us about the Kerio Valley and what he thinks about what should happen in Kerio Valley and all. At 9 o'clock, Tim Kipchumba is our guest. Keep it here for that. What's been happening in terms of COVID and the fight across the globe?
620,253,838 new, collective cases of COVID is what we're looking at around the world. Let's look at what the Ministry of Health has told us in the last 24 hours, that there have been 7 new cases of COVID. This coming from a sample size of 952, gives Kenya now a positivity rate of 0.7%. Still another day of 0 deaths, so this is a good thing. We've seen 4 cases of COVID in Kilifi, 1 in Nairobi, 1 in Nyeri, and 1 in Siaya County. Let's also then look at stories making headlines around the globe. World Health Organization says blood is on your hands if the world steps back on tackling COVID now. That whereas there have been many calls, there have been, leaders saying that COVID is over. I think the most recent was President Joe Biden, who said, look, we're able, no problem. World Health Organization is saying, look, if rich nations think the pandemic is over, they should help lower income countries reach that point too, according to a World Health Organization senior official. In an interview, the World Health Organization senior advisor Bruce Aylward warned that richer nations must not step back from tackling COVID-19 as a global problem now ahead of future potential waves of infection. In the last few weeks, World Health Organization Director Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said the end of the pandemic was in sight, and also Joe Biden said the pandemic was over. When I hear them say this, we're so comfortable here. It's like, great, now you can really help us get the rest of the world over. He said that the group he coordinates, which focuses on equitable access to COVID-19 vaccines, treatments and tests, is not ready to move out of the emergency stage of tackling the pandemic, and that countries need to be ready and have treatments in place for any further waves. So from where they are sitting, they see the high possibility of other waves of COVID coming about, and they're saying if you say the pandemic is over, there are others who then are in a vulnerable state. Who is going to help them? So he says, be cautious in your declarations because we're not quite sure that we're out of the water.
Boy. Okay. Listen, we are live streaming the show on SpiceFM KE, YouTube, Facebook, and we are also on our website, www.spicefm.co.ke at 18 minutes after 6. Let's take a quick break, take a look at the weather forecast, and then we will be reading your greetings to CT Muga online. So if you're online, tell us where you're tuned in from. Say hello to CT, and we'll read the greetings shortly. Why are you looking at me like that?
It's cold.
So why are you looking at me like that? Am I cold?
You solve the situation.
Hey.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. The adults in the room.
He's promiscuous or he's polygamous. We need to get over ourselves.
So I should always know the man that marries me, I know there'll be other women.
Yes.
The relationship you have with yourself is the foundation of the relationships you will have with other people. Things that we never talk about. 3 things. Stop, breathe, and relax.
Whether it is matters of the heart, finances, or work that's weighing on your mind, worry not.
Tune into Adults in the Room
every Monday to Friday from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m.
The adults in the room will help you stay winning. Only on 94.4 Spice FM.
Looking at cloudy conditions in Nairobi this morning. A bit of a drizzle also at 15. Highs of 25 and lows of 15. It's clear at 12 in Nakuru, highs of 25. And we'll see highs of 23 in a rainy Nyeri this morning at 15. 10 degrees and clear in Eldoret, highs of 25 and lows of 10. And it's raining at 23 in Mombasa. It'll go to highs of 29. We'll see highs of 29 in a rainy Malindi at 24. And at 19 degrees, it's partly cloudy. In Kisumu, it'll go to highs of 30. 28 will be the high in a partly cloudy Kakamega. at 15. 18 degrees and mostly clear conditions in Kampala, highs of 27, and we'll see highs of 30 in a cloudy Dar es Salaam at 22. 16 degrees and clear in Johannesburg, highs of 29 and lows of 14, and it's raining at 25 in Lagos, highs of 28 today. 22 and clear conditions in Kinshasa, highs of 32. Looking out into Beijing Monday afternoon, 24 degrees going to highs of 29 and lows of 13. It's raining in Paris at 12, highs of 15 and lows of 10, and we're looking at the exact temperatures in London, 12 degrees, raining, highs of 15, lows of 10. It's still Sunday night in New York. It's raining at 17, coming into Monday. We'll see highs of 24 and lows of 16.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah!
You're listening to Spice FM. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Do like that.
I'm doing like that. And Utawala is where Newton is tuned in from, and he's saying, good morning. Good morning, the great morning trio. Ken Jogu is greeting you from Karatina, and he says, it's drizzling at last.
Wow.
Bob Arena says, good morning. He's tuning from Kitengela. Okay. Andrew Franklin has a new name, and he's greeting you from Bernard Estate this Monday morning. Atuti Dan says, good morning. I'd missed you since Friday. Glad to hear you on the airwaves again. Now, Apenda Sana, Asante Sana. Sovereign Christoph says, good morning, Ndu Eric and the wise man in the house. Your lordship. Siti Muga. Your lordship. Good morning. Jared Ouru says good morning and tune in from Mazeras, Kilifi County. Welcome back, CT. Locked in from Nyachichi Secondary School in Kitutu, Masaba, Nyamira County. That's where Jared Orure is. I'm sure Edna knows exactly where that is. Kamau Anthony says
Kitutu,
good morning.
Masaba. We're told Masaba is west, east or west.
I even wrote it down.
Masaba is west, Chache is east. Is that so, Edna? Masaba is west.
Masaba is?
West.
Voila.
And Chache is east.
Good.
Edna, east is where the sun rises from. So Chache is east. Okay, so she thinks we can hear what she says.
She can hear. Sawa. Okay, thank you, Edna. Vincent Ogutu says, Tuko Pamoja, tuning from Wasingishu is where Langat Kiroi is from. Machakos, Bay Wamacha. Beatrice Ngenya says, good morning. Kitinda is where Mjuku wa Timonya is, and Simon Wapala is also tuned in this morning. Quite a number of people online today. We're seeing you. Muita Lucas says good morning, tuning from Kuria in Migori County. Good morning, Spice team, tuning from Wega in Nyeri County. That's where Mope is. And good morning, the king is back. Told you, CT. Karibu Sana, tuning from Mombasa. That's where Jane Duta is. Kimilili Locked. Good morning, team. Robert Mbogo says good morning. Hey, Nene. My cousin is called Nene, but I think you're not called Nene. I think what you're saying is Nini. Mehemehe. Ish. Okay. Good morning. Kimanzi is tuned in as well from Nyali in Mombasa. Quite a number of people online this morning. We see you. Edwinson has welcomed back the ever-absent CT. And he says he's not ready for the shamba system.
Nothing. Not ready.
No.
Sawa. We'll also look at people who are online on YouTube, actually. Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Yes.
Yeah. So in the meantime, Siti Muga has the proverb.
Niger.
The
other known as Niger.
No. Niger.
Whose capital is Niamey, otherwise known as Niamey. Ashes fly back into the face of those who throw them.
Actually, who does what?
Let me start again. Once upon a time. Ashes fly back into the faces of those who throw them.
Ashes.
Ash.
Oh.
Jivu.
Oh.
It's actually true.
Okay. But if you're throwing ashes without using this.
What?
If you're not using this.
If you're just throwing it for.
Without using your head.
Without factoring in the direction of the wind. Of course that's going to happen to you. Face.
How many times do people say, okay, so I have a bowl of ashes, let me wind factor 10 over x minus 3. Who does that? Where's the wind coming from? If I throw the ashes. And I think that's the thing, that you're rarely thinking about the direction the wind is
Until
going.
it's in your face.
Until it's in your face and you think, oh, drat.
And usually it flies in your face when you've also opened your mouth.
Good thing is it's just ash.
Yep.
It's come from fire, so it's clean. Aina jam. Si mechomwa.
That, my brother, is absolute science.
Si mechomwa.
It's been through the fire, so it's clean, Abi.
Clean. It's okay. It's okay. Let's look at the newspaper headlines. Remember, the Standard is giving away some good goodies, and this include cash vouchers, shopping vouchers, some branded Standard merchandise, and all they require you to do is you buy a copy of the Standard newspaper, then scan through the pages, you'll find a QR code, scan that QR code, and you stand a chance of winning. It is that simple. It is that simple. Tell us what's on the front pages of the papers.
Ruto invites 40 clerics.
Wait. Oh yeah, we've done the proverb. No, you are to do these people on YouTube first before we do the headlines.
Okay, sir. Where do you want me to start, please?
The headlines.
Oh.
No, not the headlines, rather the YouTubers. Our YouTubers.
Because City is looking at you because he's just as confused as I am. Right. Zach says, good to have Sir Charles back. I couldn't see him Jana the non-Kachuna. I couldn't see him Jan at the Concours d'Elegance. Did he win?
Yeah.
Break ahead, folks. City, did you win?
Yes, he did.
Which concours did this gentleman go to?
Abi? Yeah. Because you were also concurring the concours. Gambriels MD says, good morning, love your show, Asante Sana. Good morning, tune in from Eldoret, that's Julia's song. And Jarongo 1212, 1212. When is the presidential petition coming out? Ooh. Glorious Mwende. It's today. Today's the day.
On email. If you're on the Supreme Court's emailing list, you will receive it.
If you didn't receive it, you're not on the list.
And if you're not on the mailing list, then find out those who are, they might send it to you. So that you can read.
It will be forwarded.
Yep, many times.
Good morning. Happy to see you all from Nakuru County, the best morning show in the 254. That's Gloria Mwende, and she says, good morning. Good morning. We see you all on YouTube. Thanks for joining us there as well. Oklahoma is in the house. Waka Waka. That's his name.
Waka Waka. From
in
Oklahoma.
My language, it means something else.
All right. Okay.
Oh.
Who else?
Keegan Kiplimo says we should host Kipchoge when he's back, after doing the thing that he did in Berlin yesterday.
Right. Good point. That's a good one.
Yes.
Higher. Now do like that with the headlines.
And there is an ecstatic Eliud Kipchoge on the front page of the Standard after having won the Berlin Marathon, breaking his own record. Yesterday, he did that at a time of 2 hours, 1 minute and 9 seconds.
The only man faster than Eliud Kipchoge
is Eliud
Kipchoge.
Exactly. What else is on the front page? We'll look at that story later. What else is on the front page? Ruto invites 40 clerics to purify State House. Okay. So when you're purifying something, the only assumption is that there was some, something in need of purification. President held Thanksgiving prayers to celebrate his election win hours after jetting back into the country from the US and urged the clergy to pray for his office and the economy that is choking in debt. On the front page of The Nation, of course, there's a great picture of Eliud in his orange runners that did the business for him yesterday. Next to that, Ebola is next door. More than 5 days since the declaration of Ebola in Uganda, Kenyan officials continue to drag their feet with minimal screening at the Busia and Malaba border posts, even as the deadly virus spreads from the Mubende ground zero into Kampala and claims 20 victims and counting. There's a what you should do we'll look at later, but quite some other things happening. Just there's an environment story, and Gachagua Shamba system plan sparks controversy. The DP is to chair a climate change meeting today, interestingly enough, days after he announced the return of the controversial Shamba system.
Okay.
He announced the return.
Yeah.
It's how it's done. It is announced and it returns.
Yes.
He said it's coming back. Just give us a couple of days. We're going to give you the mikakati of how this will work, but it's coming back.
By and large.
So are we saying
All we're waiting for is waweke waziri wa environment ambaye ako na akili. Because the others did not.
They did not have akili.
Yes.
When I hear such things, you see, there's this deja vu sense that we are back to the days of roadside declarations. It's declared and it is so.
Yes.
Process can follow later, but it has been declared.
Anything really can follow later.
You want to start with that story? Then we take
Which
a
one?
break.
Specifically?
Of roadside declaration.
Yes. Why don't we do that shamba
Atamazishi.
system story?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So it's on page 10 of The Nation.
Yep.
Blah, blah. Gachagua to chair climate talks after forest storm. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua will today chair a meeting to discuss urgent climate change interventions just a day after he announced the return of the shamba system, which was banned because of its harm that it caused to forest. The meeting was ordered by President William Ruto, who said leaders will need to table urgent interventions to curb the adverse effects of drought, which has seen 942,000 children and 134,000 pregnant or lactating women suffer acute malnourishment. My deputy, Rigathi, will on Monday convene a meeting of government involving leaders, officials to harmonise urgent interventions to stem the severely adverse effects of ravaging drought in almost 20 counties that is putting about 3 million people at great risk. 2 days ago, however, the DP argued that it would be prudent to allow Kenyans to cultivate maize in forests instead of importing the cereal. While he received the support of a few people who say the system will also accelerate the journey towards attaining the 10% forest cover target, I don't understand that. Many environmentalists and politicians have criticized the plan, saying the move will claw back the gains made so far in protecting forests. We know that the environmental bodies around the world have said that 10% is what you aim for. If you have 10% forest cover, you're doing all right, but then you should aim for higher. Right now, we're looking at the numbers that Kenya has. It's just under 7%, all right? Narok Senator Ledama Olekina insisted that there will be no shamba system in the Mau Forest and asked Kenyans not to take what he described as roadside declarations seriously. Someone should remind Rigathi Gachagua that decisions are made in cabinet, not roadside declarations. There is no shamba system in the Mau Forest, so whoever thinks the DP is above the law, dream on, he said. His sentiments were echoed by Kakamega Senator Boni Khalwale, who said the shamba system will be abused by farmers to destroy indigenous forests. He went on to talk about Kakamega Forest, which is the last remaining indigenous tropical rainforest outside the DRC and the Amazon in Brazil. I would find it extremely difficult to disagree with Professor Wangari Maathai. Lawyer Ahmed Masnir Abdullahi argued that the system will promote land grabbing, and that was common during the Daniel Moy era. Homa Bay Town MP Kaluma and his Suba North counterpart Millie Odhiambo also opposed the sentiment. And they said Brother Rigathi Gachagua needs urgent education on environmental protection and governance. No tree will grow once you allow people to farm within the forest. And it goes on and on
and on. He was speaking in an area where he used to be DO, and this area also has forests in Eldama Ravine. Now,
that forest has been depleted, guy.
Seriously so. So it's not like he is not.
Doesn't know.
He has been in that position where he has seen forests, but maybe from where he sat, he didn't see what the issue was. I mean, allow people to go into the forest, let the people, help grow the trees.
When you drive through Eldama Ravine, one of the things you notice, something that you find similar in places like Molo, sawmills were a popular business then.
Yes.
What you will come across is former sawmills, as in the structure may be there, but there is nothing to saw. Because for it to function, there has to be raw material.
Yep.
Now, those forests disappeared. Okay? And the disappearance came with consequences.
Yeah.
But let's go back to the beginning. How did it start? That same thought process.
Same
thought process.
Same. Now there's a moratorium on, milling around the forests. It has been slapped on anybody. Of course, I saw a news item yesterday. The people who are really, really in support of this particular move by the government, by Rigathi Gachagua, Timber Millers Association. They say, brilliant. In fact, one of them was interviewed and he has a small piece of land. He says, look, this is what I'm doing. I am growing trees and I'm cultivating around the trees.
Okay.
Just to help the trees grow.
All right. Since we started this matter of reinvigorating the Mao and other forest covers, what have been the gains? What have we seen so far? How much have we grown our forest cover? Okay. This BDIs that goes with people who can just see profits rolling in and not doing what is necessary. This discussion has been there for a decade plus. Have we seen our forest cover increasing significantly?
They argue that yes, we have. Yes. People like Dr. Isaac Kalua, who is now one of the foremost environmentalists in the country, the party leader of the Green Thinking Action Party, says, no. We have seen a lot of gain since the shamba system was abolished. We've seen a lot of gain since logging was also abolished and controlled. We cannot look back into those. He says, there were days, as leaders, every statement we make needs to be backed up by proper research, professional approach, and communicated in a way that Kenyans may not mistake it to be an opportunity to abuse our country. You can't just say, people are coming back. I mean,
Majani
matawi inakauka, huwezi hata chuma mboga.
Even if you want to be in support of whatever the government of the day is, there are some things that are just clear, plain as day, that you cannot go back on. It is obvious what has happened. And if today we cannot see that the reason why these 3 million people are at risk of dying of hunger, and we cannot make the connection between drought and the environment and your forest cover, if we cannot make the connection, then there's a problem. Big time. Big time.
Let's take a quick break. Remind us about County 49.
It's Botele County. It's a fictional county that operates in the breadbasket of Kenya, and they've been doing some interesting things in terms of governance. Kidnap a deputy governor here, give a warning to another one here and there, and say, look, you have to have the interests of the people at heart. This shows on Showmax, and a new episode just dropped on Thursday. Another one will drop this Thursday. It is a limited series. However, you get to see those and many more intrigues for as little as 760 shillings per month, only on Showmax.
Indeed. People have started that whole debate now on YouTube on the release of the full judgment from the Supreme Court. So it's going to be shared out on email. Somebody's asking, don't we pay these judges to read it out to us?
So they should come and read it?
Yeah, we pay them.
After all. Why email? It's
Why is
easy.
the Chief Justice showing Kenyans contempt by mailing the presidential verdict? We shall evict her. We should read it.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
We know it is cold, but Cold Stone Creamery has hot deals for you. This month, enjoy cups of rich and creamy ice cream, delicious ice cream cakes, and fresh oven-baked cakes at amazing prices. Visit any of our stores in Nairobi or Mombasa and indulge in your favorite treats. Cold Stone Creamery, the ultimate ice cream experience.
Introducing Botele, County 49, a rich county where the leadership has failed its people. Justice and peace are elusive while violence sweeps through the county. What will be done to save the people of Botele County? Watch County 49 as our heroes and villains clash in an exciting tale of corruption, greed, love, and redemption. Every week on showmax.com.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo
All right, just
soul,
picking up in some
and
parts of the city
nostalgia.
this morning, we're seeing that it started on Jogo Road early into the CBD, looking pretty busy. We're likely to see that action continue through most of the morning. Coming off on Gong Road, also likely to see more, but for now doesn't look too bad. Where it has started thumping really easy is on the Thika Superhighway. Coming past Survey, we're seeing some traffic there, as well as coming off of Kiambu Road. Outer Ring at that junction is going to look a little crazy. Juja Road also started to build up, and that's in and outbound traffic. Folks are feeding off from North Airport Road onto Outer Ring. Outer Ring, you're going to find your way to the Thika Superhighway from the back, and that looks all right, at least for now. Let's take a look at around 7 o'clock, see what it looks like. But for now, it looks like folks are getting up and about. Tomorrow is when it's likely to go crazy, when schools start to open, maybe later on in the afternoon. But we'll keep an eye on things, see what's happening. Let us know. Talk to us on SpiceFM KE on Twitter.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings.
All right, 20 minutes to 7. So the DP yesterday hosted clergy for prayer service at State House. And
DP or president?
Oh, the president, President William Ruto. 40 preachers were in State House yesterday, mostly from the evangelical extraction, according to the story by the Standard. By 7 a.m., guests were already arriving and settling down at the pitched white tent at the State Garden, waiting for Dr. Ruto, who was the chief guest, his deputy Rigathi Gachagua, and their wives. Ruto said he's dedicating State House to God for hoisting me to the presidency. After this service, please don't leave. There's lunch for all of you. There will be part 2 of this service, which is not as organized as part 1. I want you all to speak a word of blessing around this compound, and those who can speak in tongues, please speak in tongues around this compound. I'll ask 30 to 40 members of the clergy to pray over this building. That's the State House. To you all, don't be in a hurry to leave. Walk around State House as you pray in tongues. Let everyone know that we are finally here. Responding to the request by the president, Bishop Mark Kariuki, who was presiding over the morning fellowship, said, "When we, the clergy, walk around State House, we will declare this ground purified. Any evil altar that may have been raised here will be paralyzed in the name of Jesus Christ." The First Lady suggested that the anointing session would be led by Bishop Kariuki, who is the overseer and presiding bishop of the Deliverance Church. Others who were there included Bishop J.B. Masinde of Deliverance Church Umoja, Bishop Arthur Kitonga of Redeemed Gospel Church, Apostle Joe Kai of Deliverance Church, and others. Now, when this was happening, there was a lot of conversation happening elsewhere on social media platforms. Oh, now, does this mean that the church is taking, of course, taken over by the story from The Nation over the weekend about a deal that had allegedly been struck between the clergy and the Kenya Kwanza leadership. Oh, is a church capturing the state because of all these things, because of the kind of agreements that had been made? You know, you shall recognize church. You shall set aside some land for church and all these other things.
And at this point, if you're going to do this on Sunday for the Christians, will you have a Friday for the Muslims at State House? Will you have a Wednesday for the Hindus at State House? Will you have,
all those things?
Those questions started to come in. So are you going to have all-inclusive religiosity at State House? Or what are you saying? That are you now declaring over and above everything else, Kenya a Christian state?
Because of having one service there.
No, but you say you'll be doing it often. The First Lady also said that there will be monthly
prayer sessions
at State House.
Okay.
So the question now becomes, so what are we saying exactly? In terms of an all-inclusive government, are you going to do this for everybody? Or are you going ahead and making another declaration?
But everyone is invited.
Everyone is invited to where?
Those services, even people of the faiths that you've mentioned, they're also invited. Or have they prevented everybody from going?
Well, it's a Christian church. It's a Christian service. It's not an interdenominational one. Remember, like the prayer that President Uhuru hosted
that was
at the height of COVID, when all faiths, it was an interfaith service.
Yeah.
And it was specific. It's a day of prayer for the country on the face of COVID-19.
Even the
Hosted at
prayer
State
breakfasts.
House.
Even the prayer breakfasts were interfaith.
Which ones?
Huh?
The ones at Kasarani, at Safari Park. The ones led by Parliament. Those ones are not interfaith. Those are Christian. Those prayer breakfasts, they are Christian. They come from
So
that
this is the question that
movement
everybody's-
in America.
So now everybody's asking now. So now if you do something like this, it's not all inclusive in terms of religiosity. Are you going to do one for everybody?
Are we forgetting that we have seen presidents from Kibaki, even Moi to Uhuru hosting members of the Muslim faith during the holy month of Ramadan for iftar?
We have.
So we've seen.
Yes, we've seen.
I mean, I actually don't see what the big issue is. I honestly don't see. I think we are reading too much, or maybe I'm just being too naive about this.
I don't think you are.
The man is a Christian. His wife is a Christian. The deputy president is a Christian. His wife is a pastor. So, their residence is State House. Okay, you could say they're using state money, but okay, so, yeah.
You know, this is in the U.S.,
Where?
Church and state are supposed to be so different that to the point of being opposed to each other. No, this isn't the case in this country. We do have a secular state, yes, but the position of religion is intertwined in our everyday life in this particular country. We haven't gotten to the stage where people will tell you can't pray in schools. Remember in America, the issue of even praying in schools is an issue.
No, it's not an issue. The issue of even mentioning God, prayer is very far. You cannot mention God. That even in their school pledges, that even in the national pledge, you cannot use the word God. Talk less of praying. They don't even pray.
It's the most duplicitous society I've ever come across.
No, it is.
While at the same time, they talk about, this man is the first, member of the clergy of a non-Catholic or the second Catholic or the deputy president is, Trump's deputy president is from this faith. He's actually a preacher. It's a big thing. They keep arguing about this and then they do the opposite.
This separation of powers is very big there. We understand that our state is secular, yes. But as I said, the faith that leaders have is very intertwined. We have a culture in this country where even official government functions are started with prayer.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
Every once in a while, somebody a little more broad-minded will include other faiths, but people always pray. And if you've attended enough of those functions, you'll be told somebody who belongs to the Islamic faith, please pray for us. Yeah. Somebody who belongs to the Christian faith, please, before you start a meeting.
I mean, state functions, all national holidays that are being celebrated, we have to have a prayer.
Yes. So,
interfaith.
When people talk about praying, and you're talking about the country of Kenya, that's why I started by saying we are not the US of A. This country is called Kenya. And this issue of prayer in our lives and in government, in official functions, it is part and parcel. It is not. I have had people asking for prayers in the oddest of places. It is considered normal. It is considered regular. So, because it is happening in State House, it doesn't make it irregular. It just happens to be something we haven't seen before. But there it is.
Yeah.
On top of all of that, there's nothing you're going to do about it. If they say they're going to pray in State House, they're going to pray in State House. So, I mean,
but as Eric asked, what is the big issue really?
What's the issue here?
Yes, I mean, Eric asked a pertinent question. What is the issue here? What that the evangelicals are taking over? So, taking over what exactly?
We have had the first president of the Republic was Catholic.
Yes.
Second president was AIC.
Yes.
Third president was Catholic. Fourth president was Catholic. And they would go to church. Bishop Anthony Muheria was leading all these things because you could argue Uhuru is Catholic.
Kibaki was Catholic. Yes. So, and this God that they're praying to, it's what?
The same one.
What? There's a diversity of gods here. I thought it's the same God. You know, It is important to interrogate issues, but it's also useful to be a bit balanced as we interrogate. The fact that we haven't seen this sort of function before in State House, does it mean then that we should actually now raise alarm bells and speak about something going absolutely wrong when, from where I sit, I don't see anything wrong?
Yeah.
A prayer meeting was held. Haven't we had presidents inviting people from their communities to State House? Haven't we had presidents inviting all manner of other people amongst State House? All sorts are invited. Now, if all sorts are invited, whether they're political parties, whether they're religious leaders, whether they're cultural leaders, my friend, you invite the evangelicals. Maybe the next time we'll have the mainstream churches going there. But please remember, in this country, if you want to talk about evangelicals, all these evangelicals came from these mainstream churches. At one point or the other, these fellows were either in the Anglican church, predominantly so, with and some of them were Catholic. So you're talking about the same thing. It's like arguing that because we've had all these people and all these parties in this country, everyone who is in the political scene, with the exception of some of the newbies, is a child of Kanu.
Yegon says, we don't want to reach a point where things are being prayed for instead of solving.
Oh, they'll be prayed for. But prayer.
Solving includes everything.
Prayer
it's a multi-pronged approach.
Eric, let me mention something here. Every time we undertake an action, the one thing that isn't given adequate consideration is what the consequences will be. The immediate consequences are not difficult to figure out, but long-term consequences. Because you take such a step, what then you unleash is expectations.
Well,
these prayer warriors and prayer giants and what have you will also have expectations.
Yeah.
And this feeling, you've been told to walk around State House and pray. State House is theirs. Now, the key thing here is not even them. They're just praying. It is God who is actually in charge of these things. So, they can walk around State House, they can pray, they can speak in tongues, all that is good. All right? But if at the end of the day we do not see the sort of things that we expect to see a government doing and changing, then at that point I'll start questioning these things. But before then, pray on.
What's in the Business Daily?
Business Daily, not much. NSSF interest on savings hit 7-year high as income triples. Let me just read it so that you understand. NSSF interest on savings hits 7-year high as income triples. Fund paid 10% in the year to June last year, its highest return since 2014, and paid 12.5%. Let me read the article so that it makes a little more sense. All right. Returns on monthly contributions made to the NSSF has beaten inflation after the state-run pension scheme paid the biggest interest on the retirement savings in 9 years. Okay, the fund paid an interest of 10% in the year to June last year, up from 7% in a similar period a year earlier, on the back of 237% rise in the net. I don't understand this, by the way. I'm just reading it. 237% rise in the net investment income to the 32.3 billion. Now I understand it even less.
Go on.
This is the highest return since 2014, when it paid 12.5%.
To who? Who's being paid?
Now, when I say I don't understand, you understand.
Pensioners?
What are you talking about?
Do you understand what I say when I'm saying I don't understand this thing? Let me just read. It will get clearer. Right?
Beating inflation.
Yes. Okay. 22%. Then they throw in 32 billion. Then you wonder, where is this coming from? The increase in net investment income was aided by dividends from firms where the fund has stakes. Trading of shares and bonds at the Nairobi Stock Exchange. And at this point, I turned the page. So you've understood? NSF money, stock exchange.
Got it.
Okay?
And investment in some companies.
Yes.
So dividends come in.
Yes.
Income.
From the NDA.
Income is more now than what they're collecting.
Right.
All right.
The interest pay comes amid debate on whether the workers' monthly contributions to the NSSF is inadequate to offer retirees a decent living. It doesn't. The NSF monthly contributions stands at 400 shillings, including 200 from the employers, not employees. Yours 400, and the fund on average pays out less than 250,000 when a member retires. Yeah. I should stop reading things I don't understand.
So now the president says he intends to adjust employee payments from the current 200 bob per month so that it matches with how much one earns as opposed to a standard fee of 200. He's been talking about this. He says we have to relook at this NSSF story.
But it makes sense what he's saying.
At 200 bob, and then we say to be a saving.
Savings.
And then you have money at the end of the your
The
retirement.
200 was set, God knows when salaries were something else.
Yeah. He said the government will ensure that one pays according to how much one earns so that there's a better savings plan. He was speaking during the Thanksgiving yesterday in church. It's not the first time that he was talking about it. Through the NSSF Act of 2013, the government had sought to raise the monthly contributions by employees from the current 200 a month, and demanded employers match the payout to counter what the president has envisioned. An order was issued by the court blocking all that move. Of course, because what? Employers went to court. Same thing is likely to happen this time. The Central Organization of Trade Unions and the Federation of Kenya Employers are going to raise an issue on this particular one.
They will. The thinking behind it, in my mind, is sound. Because this 200 shillings a month, I mean, you save it for how many years again?
Until you retire.
Do the maths, 200
It's
shillings
from
a
the
month.
year, from your first employment, if you get into formal employment, from that point on until the retirement age. What's it? 55, 60, it keeps fluctuating.
Let's make it 50 so that you do the round there. It's 400 plus 200, 600. 600 times 12 is what?
What are we talking about? How much you're paying per year?
I'm just trying to tell you, it's 3,600 shillings per year. Multiply that by 10, 36,000 shillings. Multiply that by 20, it's 72,000 shillings. If you multiply 30 years, then you get around 100,000 shillings.
No. If you're contributing 200 shillings per...
No, it's 200 plus. And then the
It's 200 and something per month.
400.
It's 400 plus 2, so it's
Right.
600.
Okay.
So I'm saying...
It's 200 plus 2. It's 400.
It's 400.
Two from you, two from
Two
your
from
employer.
your employer. So it's 400 shillings. So it's 4,800 per year. Huh?
This article didn't say that.
This one says it.
See, are they the same? Is this
They are saying the same thing, actually. They
So
also said
4,800 a year, right? It's 4,800 a year.
Right. So that is per year.
Yeah.
whatever amount you're contributing, basically. Now, the arguments will be also from, remember, these other retirement benefit schemes. So if I'm contributing here, am I also contributing to a separate pension? Remember, very many employers have set up these private pension funds.
Nothing wrong with having two pension funds, is it?
Yeah, the employer is looking at it as a cost. Just because I have you, then I'm paying 600 bob to NSSF and I'm paying another 600 bob to this fund. You're costing me a lot.
So you agree? You know what I'm saying is, the amounts that we're talking about, if it's 4,800 shillings a year, even if you work for 30 years, you're pesa ni kidogo.
It's not much. But you see,
kidogo.
cumulatively, the fund, like you can see, the fund is making money. NSSF invests, it makes money. So all the returns from the NSSF.
The tricky thing about NSSF, my friend, is not even all these things that we're discussing. Is retirees actually accessing that money.
Yeah.
It's a problem. The tales of woe around people not being able to access their money is infinitely more than those who are supposedly enjoying the benefits of their retirement. You spend more money looking for your money than actually getting it. Yes. So, and yet NSF puts up buildings, invests in the stock exchange, and it's with the workers' money. And yet the very workers, when they now need the money, they can't get it. Yes.
They don't get it. This one will be, let's see. The president seems completely determined to have this conversation. Seeing as a number of times he has mentioned it in the last 2 weeks. So this is going to be one of the hottest conversations of his presidency. Keep it here for more. Coming up in the next hour, we will be talking about World Contraceptives Day 2022, which is today. But also we'll be reminding you to start getting up and practicing for the Standard Chartered Nairobi Marathon, which is going to take place when?
In the last week of August. Looking
Not
at that
August, where?
I'm sorry, October. Good Lord, we've already passed August. Sheesh. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay,
23rd,
October.
30th of
30th of October.
October.
Yes.
Physical run in Nairobi. 23rd to 30th, virtual run. Start preparing and behave and feel like an athlete. Good morning, 7 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Good morning. This is Newswire. I am Stephanie Wangari. A multi-agency security operation has been launched at Kakitei village in Turkana sub-county, where lives were lost and livestock stolen by bandits. According to the National Police Service, the multi-agency will arrest perpetrators, recover stolen animals and firearms, and return normality to the area. The police service has condemned the actions of the bandits, saying it will not tolerate impunity. This comes hours after President William Ruto said he had received a comprehensive report on the Turkana Pokot incident that led to 10 security officers losing their lives. The president said he had instructed security agents to deal firmly, decisively and conclusively with those involved. He has also asked the country to have the officers in their prayers.
Pray for our forces, pray for our policemen and women, our security agencies, so that they can discharge their responsibilities. I have already, in the last few weeks, I have given authority for the police to have their own budget. They don't have to wait for the office of the president anymore.
Kenya Red Cross Secretary General Asha Mohammed has called on the government and other humanitarian organizations to come to the aid of Kenyans adversely affected by drought. Speaking during an interview on Citizen TV, Mohammed said the situation continues to worsen by the day.
The situation is very dire, I would say. And for us as an organization, we've been on the ground since the beginning. And I have been to some of these communities repeatedly, I would say, to the extent that you can see the deterioration that is actually happening. We need to go beyond calling it just a food crisis and hunger crisis. It's actually a crisis of human existence. If you go out there and see how people are living, you reach a point where when communities start to despair, communities start to lose hope, it's no longer just about giving them food. It's about their dignity, it's about livelihoods.
Some 4.2 million Kenyans have been affected by drought. Some have relayed their troubles.
Mbuzi tumeuza, kuku tumeuza, ile kitu kidogo tunauza, naona ndio boma iko namna hii.
Miaka 3 tutakula ni njaa, tumelima, tumekosa chakula, mvua itageuka.
Hata maji ya kunywa labda unaenda kilomita zaidi ya 10, ukiangalia mirai inakauka yote. Akia Mungu serikali ile tunalilia ituangalilia isia kusema ati Meru kuna ni kusuri.
Hapa tuko na mwaka 3 bila kupata hata nini, hata chakula, hata nini. Na hapa hakuna maji, ni mbati tu, hata watu wengine hawatoki kwa nyumba.
President William Ruto has since tasked his deputy Rigathi Gachagua to form a task force that will tackle the impact of drought in the country. Now, ODM leader Raila Odinga will today chair a meeting of the Central Management Committee amidst growing discontent in his party. The party's top decision-making organ meeting is expected to address thorny issues that threaten to tear it apart. However, ODM National Chairman John Mbadi said the meeting's agenda will be to approve the party's books of account. Wafula Buke, who is an ardent ODM supporter and a second liberation hero, said the party is currently in a state of hopelessness after Raila lost the presidency. Buke said it was sad that ODM leader was under capture by a team that orchestrated his loss in the just concluded general election. Now, matters international. Iranians have defied a warning from the judiciary and took to the streets for a 10th consecutive night yesterday to protest the death of a young Kurdish woman, Mahsa Amini was arrested for allegedly failing to wear a headscarf and died while in police custody. Since the protest started, at least 41 people have died, mostly protesters. Other sources say the real figure is higher, but ongoing internet blackouts made it increasingly difficult to confirm fatalities in a context where the women-led protests have spread to scores of cities. That's your news at the top of the hour. My name is Stephanie Wangari.
Okay, so this morning, as the sun is coming up, we're looking at traffic developing in many parts of the city. Coming off the Thika Superhighway, there's traffic from Survey and it's heading out towards the CBD. It's really heavy as you get to that Pangani underpass. We're also looking at traffic that started early coming off of Jogo Road, spilling over to Landis, and now we're seeing on Haile Selassie. That's really heavy in and outbound traffic coming in from Kamkunji, coming in from Gong Road. That is also pretty busy. Heavy bumper to bumper on Jogo Road, as we said. The Thika Superhighway is absolutely crazy. It's doing the same thing on Kiambu Road, and coming off of Limuru Road, it's already starting. James Gishuru is going to spill over to Wayaki Way, and that traffic is also bumper to bumper. Monday has started, and it looks like it's going to be a bit crazy here and there, but let's try to keep our wits about. Tell us what's going on where you are. SpiceFM KE on Twitter, and let's try to keep things moving this morning.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room. The
7
only
minutes
way
after
to
7,
start
good morning.
your day.
How are you doing? Welcome to the second hour of Kenya's biggest conversation. It's The Situation Room this Monday, 26th day of September 2022. Live on SpiceFM, on KTN Home, on YouTube, on Facebook, and also having our conversations all over social media. Today, the 26th of September, is World Contraceptives Day 2022. We'll be talking about it, and we're joined by the ogre from the top, from the government.
At the top.
At the top, right up there. Before we welcome and introduce him, let's hear the day's Proverbs. CT?
Yes, our Proverbs for the next few days from the country of Niger, I am told. It's not Niger, it's Niger. Ashes fly back into the face of those who throw them.
Ashes do what? From what?
Ashes, not ashes.
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 Not ashes.
Ash,
Ashes throw back.
It would be interesting to see ashes falling from the sky.
Yes. Jivu, in other words, in Kiswahili.
Right.
You chuck it. As you say, throwing caution to the wind. Now, if you throw ashes to the wind, it comes back to your face.
Pop.
And as I said, if perchance you had opened your mouth when you're throwing them, some of them will find their way back.
Straight into the mouth.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So it will be one moment ashes in your hands, then in the wind, and then some of it in your mouth and perhaps even your eyes.
Okay. Dr. Andrew Mulo, Director of Medical Services, Promotive and Preventive Health. Good morning, Daktari.
Good morning.
Good to have you again on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Every time we see you, it's like a new year. So Happy New Year.
I've been here in this year. Happy New Year.
It's been such a long time, Bana. It was before August 9th.
Yes.
After August 9th, we have a new year. Okay. How are you doing?
Thank you. Always my pleasure.
Always a pleasure to have you. That proverb, does it make sense? Because I saw you nodding, like, yeah, you
Yes,
could relate.
I
could remember doing
from
it.
I come from a community, and I grew up in a community where riddles, proverbs were shared by my grandmother. So, yes, I think there was one similar to that from the Kamba community.
How did she tell it to you? Say it in Kamba.
It was about sand. That you throw sand in the wind, it comes back to you.
And what did that proverb mean? What does it intend to teach?
Every time you do anything, always be prepared that repercussions could actually affect you.
For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Even Newton's grandmother
told
him the same. Daktari, today is World Contraceptives Day 2022. What does that mean? In fact, somebody is even asking, so some of these days, how are we supposed to celebrate this day? By doing what?
This is a global, an international day that has been set to celebrate contraceptive and the use of contraceptive family planning in managing population development and family and health. So it's a day that has been set aside globally to celebrate contraception and its value in the growth of society, basically. So it's a day of advocacy, so to speak. It's a day that we pose as a global community to do advocacy on the importance and the value of contraception.
Okay. So do we look at contraception from, global view of family planning?
Yes, you cannot talk about contraception and the family planning, contraception are one side of the same coin. But in terms of, because the rights approach, because when you say family planning, it means one has to be in a family setup where family setup is husband and wife, and we know that is not the case always. So I think this is just terminology, of use of terminology to describe the same thing. What this means is that persons or women and men of reproductive age are able to have a choice of when to have a child and the number of children that they want to have, when they want. And there are various methods that are available for them. Of course, we look at family planning contraception from, I already mentioned, two perspectives. From a population development perspective and a health perspective. Where population development, we are talking about the economy, we are talking about the resources that are available for a country and the standards of living for a community. Then from a health perspective, you talk about the health of the mother, the health of the child, and the whole life cycle of an individual. That if, and research has shown that if spacing between one child and another happens, there is an increase there is a decrease in the likelihood of maternal mortality. There is an increase of 60% increase in decrease in child mortality if spacing of a child is done. Then now from the economic perspective, having number of children that one can take care of, education, nutrition, and all that. Yes.
When you talk about this matter of contraceptives, then you're actually basically in the realm of sexual and reproductive health rights.
Yes.
Which opens up the entire Pandora's box about access to information, access to services, and it now become age-specific. The conversation that has been taking place over the last couple of years in this country about people who are sexually active, and we know that children are sexually active below 18, and rather than should also have access then to information, access to services, includes contraceptives. Wade into it.
I think it was just 3 months ago or so that we launched the National Reproductive Health Policy 2022-2032, which, of course, gives proper direction in terms of access to contraceptives for adolescents and young people. The reality is out there, adolescents and young people who are below the legal age are sexually active and therefore would benefit from contraception. The reality is we have what we call age-appropriate sex education. This is a continuous process. Age-appropriate sex education means between the age of 0 and 5, there is some messaging, and that is what the ministry has been working on. There is some sexual reproductive health messaging for that group. Between 5 and 10, 12, there is messaging for those children. Then between 12 and 19, there is a message for that cohort. Then, so what we advocate, and this is even part of the curriculum, age-appropriate sex education. We are aware that there's the Children's Act, there's issues of consent, there's the constitutional and the legal age where consent has to be given. So therefore, we recognize that access to family planning or contraception for young people should not be used to open up our society for misuse. So what we are in essence doing, it is the healthcare provider will have to make a decision in the best interest of the child. Because if the child is sexually active, if you don't give them contraception, but there must be a consent process, where consent does not necessarily mean from the parent. It could be from a significant adult in the child's life. It could as well be from a fellow healthcare worker. So it is working in the best interest of the child to ensure that the child gets age-appropriate education before they are exposed. So we cannot open up and say, oh, anyone above the age of 10, come to facilities, have your family planning or contraception, because there are social, there are cultural, there are religious considerations that we have to make. And Kenya is a fairly religious community.
As we have seen. What is it, Daktari, then who should be having these conversations? Because there have been, we're looking at the contraception issue. Let's look at some of the numbers that we have over the last year. We're looking at hundreds of thousands of girls who then became pregnant, who are in school. And a little bit more of a worrying statistic is that many of these girls who were spoken to, unbelievably, did not understand this process of getting pregnant. It might seem bizarre, but that is just the truth. That they didn't understand that essentially 1 + 1 = 2. This act plus another act then would result in pregnancy. So we're dealing with now many layers of miscommunication, or rather lack of information completely, isn't it? So this information that you've talked about that is absolutely necessary for the different cohorts, 0 to 5, 5 to 12, 12 to 19, who should be having these conversations with these children? And I'm not just talking about girls here, girls and boys. Who should be having these conversations?
I think is a whole society communication that needs to, education that needs to approach that needs to be done. Primarily, the health sector should lead the conversation in terms of engaging religious leaders, community leaders, parents, schools, so that it's a whole society approach. We have a program that we are running specifically for adolescents and young persons that we are calling the triple threat, because the issues of HIV, teenage pregnancies, which is a campaign that we are doing at the villages, in the locations, working with community leaders, the chiefs, opinion leaders, religious leaders, the community health workers, to have this conversation about teenage pregnancies and education. We also are running a program in with the Ministry of Education through the school health program, where we are doing health education to our school-going children. We launched just the other day a document, what we call the teenage guideline, which adolescent guideline, which is a scientifically developed document that any teenager. I have a problem having some of the sexual conversation with my adolescent daughter. So when I feel I am unable, at least she has something that she can read. I have something that as a parent that I can read and give her facts that have been established, and this is helping. We are in the process of now developing adolescents' sexual and reproductive health policy, which will of course encompass, because the mother reproductive health policy carries reproductive health issues for the entire population. We are now going granular and developing a policy specific for the adolescents and young persons. And I think these are some of the efforts that as a ministry we are working with. But the issue of this education, it is the parent, it is the brother, the whole society. Everyone in the community, in the society, has a role to play in terms of this sex education. So it's upon us as a ministry to ensure that we have enough structures in the communities that deliver these messages.
Dr. when you talk about adolescents, from the perspective of the ministry, would you say, from what you've observed or researched on, which group of people influence the adolescents the most?
In terms of influence, the reality is the peers and the immediate cohort. 19 to 24 influences 10 to 19. Because they are closer, they interact more, they have a language, they even understand each other.
They have a lot more in common.
They have a lot more in common. So there is also that very important aspect of peer education. And we have a lot of young people who we are working with as a ministry, who we are working on, not just the Ministry of Health, as a government, because we are talking about the National Population Control Department, the Council. We are talking about the Ministry of Interior. We are talking about Ministry of Education. We have a lot of young people that we are working with to ensure that they pass this message to their peer. But the reality is, us who are adults, I would say, above the youth, the 24 years, also have a big role to play, because in most places where policy is being made, you will unlikely get this. But we have one principle that we don't talk about adolescents and young people without having them. Yeah. We actually have them in our technical working groups.
The reason why I ask this question is, and the very concept of peer groups. If peer groups are the greatest influencers, each of these categorizations, 10 to 19, to whatever the categorization is, the people who are most likely to effectively communicate what we want would be the peer group. But I'd like to find out what it is you have in terms of whether it's a curriculum or a program or a plan. And it's not just with the adolescents, but with every group, because the assumption is that when someone is an adult or is a parent, they will know how to communicate something. It's a fallacy. Being a parent just means you're a parent. The process of actually being able to communicate something as sensitive as that actually requires training. And it is a lot easier for somebody who is your peer to talk to you. You're more likely to take the information in. So if we take that categorization broadly, does the ministry have a plan to ensure that is what happens, so that it is effective? Parents are communicated to effectively, these age groups are communicated to effectively, then people have a far better chance of understanding what you want to pass along.
Yes, indeed, you have brought out a very important point, that actually we recognize that being a parent does not necessarily mean you understand or you have the know-how of how, especially sexual education is always very difficult for a lot of parents. Very many parents actually struggle with sexual messaging to their children. And that's exactly the reason why, as a Ministry of Health, we are actually working even on a parent guide, so that parents who have adolescents, while we have the teenage guide, which any parent can have access to and learn, we believe that the parent themselves need also education to know what messages are you or you. So the point of having peers, I mentioned about the school education. We have a lot of programs. We have a whole department of adolescent and young persons in the ministry, a division. So we have engagement with young people. Recognize that peer education is very important.
How successful is that program?
We may say, because one of the major, of course, we always have very good programs. One of our major shortcomings is we do not have all the resources that we require to have countrywide, from community to every village.
Actually, I would like
programming.
Can I please disagree with you?
Yes, please.
Okay.
I will listen.
What resources do you need? You're talking about messaging.
You need the humans?
Yes. We have enough humans?
Mm-hmm. Yes. The humans have to be facilitated.
Facilitated how exactly?
If they're in a school environment?
They have to be...
Mm-hmm. And the schools exist?
You have to get the humans to the school environment. Unless... You have to get the humans to the school environment. You have to get someone to capacity build. You have rightly mentioned that...
They need training.
That they need training. You need training. And you are talking about a country. So you're talking about schools in this country, for example, are close to 25,000.
The disagreement is not to put you on the spot. The disagreement is to say that the ministry may be hampered because of those resources, but this isn't something that only the Ministry of Health can work on. You can't work independent of the Ministry of Education. You can't work independent of all the other ministries that are there. You can't work in silos. And if you're talking about trained personnel, the Ministry of Health has access to people who worked in the NGO sector who do these things because they partner with ministries. You have people who've trained trainers who've trained other trainers. You have master trainers. The government has an enormous capacity, some of which in my mind just lies idle. It's not fully utilized. Now, what I'm saying is, yes, you're right when you talk about personnel being facilitated. COVID taught us that you don't need to physically be there. Now, the gains we made during COVID, can this not be used to do the very same thing that we're talking about? Because the story of resources, that one will never end. That's why there's an entire discipline called economics that tries to figure this thing out. Scarcity of resources and how do you manage it? I am saying this. I'm saying that if the will is there, and clearly by your being here, it's symptomatic of the fact that the will is there, that this is something that can be done. But certain realities must be faced. Number one, we're talking about parents being educated. Many parents don't even discuss sexual issues with their own partners. So how are they going to discuss it with their children?
Interesting.
And when they talk about it in parables.
There's a lot of work that needs to be done. Let's take a break. It's 27 minutes after 7. This is the Situation Room on SpiceFM, on KTN Home Online. Our guest this morning is Dr. Andrew Muller. He's the Director of Medical Services in charge of promotive and preventive health at the Ministry of Health. Today is World Contraceptive Day, and we are talking about access to this information and how best the government is actually rolling out the issues of contraceptive across the country for all age groups. From the young ones, information, to the old ones. Across all the counties, the 47 of them, and then the 49th as well. 49th county is Bwatela. The information is right there on showmax.com. If you don't know it, go and interact with it. You'll find the people of Bwatela County, and they're very, very active. They want to know this information. They want to engage with the information. They have, in fact, taken the governor somewhere to engage with her one-on-one so that then they can also ask the government to facilitate her release from their hands. So this is a very interesting story. County 49 on Showmax. Let's take a break. We'll be back shortly with the conversation.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
I know the sun is out in Nairobi at least. As you tembea, be careful. Manchester United are trying to sign anyone. Watch out where your children are. Please hide yourselves.
Sugar and spice!
I reached a point where suicide things were just going south completely. Something stopped me.
Sun is coming out at 15 in Nairobi. We'll see highs of 25. Highs of 24 in a sunny Nakuru at 14. And it's 14 and raining in Nyeri. Highs of 23. 24 will be the high in a sunny Eldoret at 12. The rain continues in Mombasa. It's 24 degrees. We'll see highs of 29 and lows of 23. Rain showers also in Malindi at 25. We'll go to highs of 29 and lows of 24. It's 18 degrees and sunny in Kisumu. Highs of 30 and lows of 18. 17 and sunny in Kakamega. Highs of 27 and lows of 14. Kampala's looking sunny through the morning at 20. Highs of 27 and lows of 16. And it's raining at 23 in Dar es Salaam. We'll see highs of 30 and lows of 22. Johannesburg is sunny at 16, highs of 29 and lows of 14. And we're looking at rainy conditions through Lagos at 24 with highs of 28. And 32 will be the high in a clear Kinshasa at 22.
Sugar and spice and everything nice. SpiceFM.
Spice up your life.
Coming off Mombasa Road, going towards Old Airport Road and then North Airport Road, we're looking at quite some traffic. It's spilling over to Outer Ring, and all of that then heads out to the thicker superhighway from the back route. We're looking at Jogo Road, and that was really heavy even at 6 a.m. and it's then going through to the stadium, the Nyeri Stadium, rather, the City Stadium roundabout, onto Landis and onto Haile Selassie, which today is giving off those vibes, heavy traffic. It is a reality, and it's bumper to bumper onto Haile Selassie, coming in from Gong Road, and you might want to avoid that for now and use alternate routes to get into the city. Go the long way and then come around Moy Avenue, for example. Moranga Road onto Globe Cinema roundabout, that's also really heavy as what we are seeing now, as is the thicker superhighway, bumper to bumper, really heavy traffic all the way from that roundabout, or rather that connection from Outer Ring, way beyond that, coming in from Kiambu County. It's heavy on Kiambu Road as well as Limuru Road, and now you've seen it pick up on Ring Road Westlands as well as James Gishuru. We're in traffic hour now. Let's talk about how far and see what it looks like. SpiceFM KE on Twitter, trying to keep things moving this morning.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
All right, 28 to 8 conversation continues with Dr. Andrew Muro, Director of Medical Services. City, you were driving somewhere with your question.
I was saying that there are many research projects in this country that deal with the same subject: contraception, adolescents. Contraceptions, young people below a certain age. Now, I was simply saying that the network of individuals that the Ministry of Health has access to can make this difficult task very, very plausible. The ministry itself may not be able to do certain things simply because of the constraints that they have, but the networks that they have can make it possible. And even if it can't be traversed throughout the country, you start where it is possible and then work your way towards ensuring that it is built up so that you have a plan within the next God knows how many years we'll be able to do this. But the constraints shouldn't be the limiting factor. That's all I'm saying.
Yes, I want to agree with you. And as a ministry, as government, we work very, very closely with even very, very local NGOs, CBOs, the development partners, to ensure that where the resource gaps that exist are plugged in. But the reality is to launch the nationwide campaign that will require a little bit more resources than what is available. So we try to optimize what is already available through the partners, but there's still gaps that will exist. And I think not to defend and say we have done optimally, but just to say we have done it, we are continuing to do it, but there are still some resource gaps that exist.
The challenge is when you're looking at things as government, you have to look at things holistically. You have to look at the entire country.
And
the risk from prioritization. The risk of looking at one part of the country and then leaving out others is you will be accused at some point of discrimination.
Yes, and we have to look at prioritization. When I get my first coin in this space as a government, my priority number one is to ensure that the products, the commodities are available. The people to deliver the commodities are available. And once that is done, now you establish an infrastructure to deliver it to the people, which essentially should be you identify the communities, engage the communities, know their demand, then plan backwards. But if you did the prioritization, then you will have greater demand, and when they come to the facility, there is nothing. There is no one to deliver the commodities or the products to the person. So it's a question of prioritization. It's a chicken and egg story. A chicken and egg story. So we have to get your priorities right, so that you don't create a demand, and the demand. When people come for the services, they don't get the people to deliver the services. They don't get the commodities that they require. So I would say there is a lot of balancing act that has to be done in the circumstances that we work in.
Okay, I want to go back to these hundreds of, these thousands of girls that we saw get pregnant, especially just before COVID times, and then up until this time, where we're still looking at high numbers around different counties. Obviously, the contraception conversation comes in here, because we're not going to start with issues of, I think we're too far in the conversation to now bring in the issue of, why are they getting, look, they're having sex anyway, right? They're pregnant. So where then would the interventions come? Is it to say, introduce the contraception conversation, introduce the sexual health conversation so that they have information? Or are we saying, look, since they're already engaging, let's now make sure that adequate contraception is available, and in terms of information, then they know how to use it? Where are we in that conversation?
I think the best approach, and this is our primary approach, is sex education. And I mentioned age-appropriate sex education.
Yes.
So that when, by the time a girl is 10 years, they know the secondary sexual characteristics and how adolescents, how they develop, they are able to get pregnant, how to relate with boys, how to have healthy relations, so that they are empowered with information about sexuality and all that. Then because most of these teenage or underage girls who get pregnant actually get pregnant in their first or so sexual encounter.
Yes.
So we cannot possibly have presumptive contraception, because they are not sexually active. But because they do not have information, when they attempt it, they get pregnant. We are talking about huge numbers. We're talking about 320,000 girls between the age of 10 and 19 who got expectant in the last 1 year.
That is a high number.
Yeah, it is.
So it's quite high. And I actually keep saying, every 3 years, we have 1 million children with children.
Yep.
Yeah. And this is a situation that when you look at the statistics from 2019, 2020, we are actually on a downward trend. There was a time it was 374,000. It was 400,000 at some point. So while we appreciate the effort that is being done, a lot more can be done. We also need to have very, very candid conversation and ask ourselves, who are the people who are getting these children, these young people pregnant? So you have to also direct your education there. The young men between the age of 19 and 24 are responsible for this. So you need to have education amongst this, so that they also understand that one, it is not legal. It's not legal to have a sexual encounter with any girl below the age of 18.
So, I'm sorry. So essentially what we're saying now is that of this, let's just take that 320,000, because that's the number that we're dealing with right now, has come down lower. So essentially we're saying any girl under 18 years who was pregnant, essentially then is a victim of a crime.
Most of 90% of the time, of course, there are those even when sex is between underage and underage.
Yes,
it's not crime per se, but it is there are moral issues there. So it's still you cannot say it's okay. So and that is exactly what we are doing with the community leaders, to make them aware that any underage pregnancy is a problem. May not be criminal, but any underage pregnancy is a problem, and therefore needs to be approached from that point, so that everyone in the society, everyone in the community, be it the young boy who is 14 years, who is implicating a fellow 14-year-old, or the
19 with a 16.
And with all due respect to our border sector, or the border guy who is dating a 16-year-old, they need to know that it's not appropriate, it's not right, and that's exactly why we are working with all the players, the religious leaders, the community leaders, including the border leader, the borders, including all the community leaders, bring them to a platform, having this conversation, and say any teenage pregnancy, any underage pregnancy is a problem.
You know, on paper, Daktari, it's a problem. 300,000, like you're saying, in 3 years' time, but we have 1 million children with children. It's a big problem. Do you feel this problem coming to you as feedback from the community? From where the government sits, do you actually feel the community feeling, no, this is becoming an issue? This is an issue that needs to be addressed.
I think sometimes I want to have this, and now this is now my personal individual view of this. What is happening is we are transitioning a community that routinely, our grandmothers, our mothers were probably married off while they were 14.
Yeah.
Before the Children's Act, girls would marry. In fact, I remember by the time I did my KCSE, of the 10 girls that I went to primary school with, maybe 7 had been married off, and it was okay. So we are doing what is happening?
It's a cultural shift.
It's a cultural shift.
Okay.
It's a cultural shift which needs us to have very deeper conversation, or deeper look at the issues, so that you recognize that my mother was married before 18, and it was okay. It was okay. And therefore, to move the society from that and recognize that there is now a legal age of 18 where sexuality and all that secure. So we have to move, ensure that we have the elder generation, the middle age, and the younger generation. Because otherwise, not many years ago, before the Children's Act, which was 2006, it used to be commonplace that girls after class 8 would go and get married.
But you see, Daktari, the age you speak of and the generation you speak of, pregnancy equaled marriage.
Yeah.
So that was deterrent. Men did not want to marry at that age. We are now in an era where pregnancy just means pregnancy. There's no responsibility attached to it. And that is why it is creating a problem. Because just because something is common, it doesn't mean it is right. And just because we have seen certain things often enough, doesn't mean, again, it is right. Remember, the time in which we speak of, from the times of my parents' time and even my time, the norms were appropriate for the time because it made sense then. And you're right, the mind doesn't quite change as fast as some of these things does. We are still stuck in those times, whereas we're in a modern time. But this messaging, beyond the Ministry of Health actually being the overseer, getting the communities to actually own these processes so that they are the ones who are championing it and not waiting for someone else to champion it for them, because the things we're saying happen within communities.
Indeed.
I'm not saying I have a solution. I'm simply thinking, how do we get to the point where the ownership that we spoke of in the time gone by, where a girl was pregnant,
a conversation takes place
between
the parents.
Yes, it does.
And now the conversation should be, any pregnancy that is underage is a problem. And therefore, if the society just picks that, so that whatever mechanism is established to stop it is established, and it will differ from one community to another. The approaches will differ. Of course, there is the legal judicial system that any underage sex between underage girl and
boy
and someone above that 18 is defilement, and therefore is liable for prosecution and incarceration. That is one conversation, and therefore the legal judicial system comes in. But now we even with that, we need to have the religious leaders from a young age inculcate these messages. The young boys, as we produce more and more, and I'm not saying we had a lapse, but it only means there is in the transition, as rightly said, the transition happened too fast for us to have it inculcated in the spirit of everyone, member of the society.
You talk about any underage pregnancy being a problem, and I think sometimes, we can say these things and it could be clear to your understanding, but then for others who are not understanding, okay, so what? An underage girl gets pregnant, she'll have the baby, then we move on. That's what plays out in the minds. It could be simple thought, fine. But what are the problems that are associated with an underage pregnancy?
I think I'll begin by we have talked about the in terms of the legal part,
yes.
that having sex with underage girl is not proper from a legal perspective. But now every teenage pregnancy comes with complications. First, the girls don't attend antenatal clinic. They do not do antenatal screening and prenatal screening, so they sometimes carry the pregnancy gets complications. They are at risk of getting pregnancy complications. They are not attending clinics and they are getting complications. So risk of maternal mortality is very, very high amongst this group. There is the other risk, which is now the illegal abortion, that sometimes when they discover they are pregnant, they attempt, and we are talking quite a number. I think 500,000. 500,000.
That's the number. Yeah.
They are illegal abortions that are attempted. They come with their complications, leading to mortality, leading to infections, leading to all sorts of issues. Then we're talking about difficult deliveries, that no antenatal clinic. So when you want to deliver, you have complicated delivery, obstructed labor, developing fistulas. You get a child who is not healthy. There's risk of HIV, and we have seen 42% of new HIV infections happen in that age group between 14 and 24. So we have all these health complications, all health risks that accompany teenage pregnancies, and therefore and now the child that is born, these underage girls are not working, so they are unable to provide the nutrition that is required for that child, and we have children who are malnourished, and the poverty cycle basically
just continues.
Yes, because the mother is unable to give good education. The child gets pregnant. The child of the child gets pregnant again at the age of 14, and the cycle continues. And that's why it's very important for us to ensure that we have this conversation.
Do you think the government needs to take the bull by the horns and basically just elevate this conversation to a high level that it deserves? When you talk about 350,000 children getting pregnant in a year, 500,000 illegal abortions taking place, this is a serious problem. Now, we are talking about World Contraceptive Day, where we talk about, the need for awareness and access to contraceptives. But then we're also talking about being aware of the society and the cultural, religious, and all those hindrances that deter us from having an open conversation about contraceptives, especially among adolescents and young people. This is a problem. We need to find a way of addressing it. we need to have a way in which we talk about if it's contraceptives, if it's like what you're calling it, age-appropriate sexual awareness and reproductive health awareness, fine, but also access to information, access to the services, access to these conversations. The communities, the society seems not ready to have this conversation as moving. Maybe it's because you approach the society with law, this is right, this is wrong. And you're telling someone this is right, this is wrong, and they are trying to figure out, okay, this is right, it's wrong. How wrong is it? What's wrong about it? What's wrong with it? Maybe we need to just change the way they approach here, Dr. I don't know how, but...
That is exactly, and I think the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Interior, Ministry of Education, and Planning, Department of the National Treasury, under the National Population Control Council. I think that is what we are actually working on. We recognize that as early as last year and recognize the approaches that we have been working on.
No, you don't. I'll tell you why.
I've not created enough trust in the communities themselves. And that's why we changed our approach from the straight Ministry of Health is doing. We said, let's go to the communities. I have been to over 18 counties myself, now launching this program at the county level, but launching so that now they even move lower, so that this conversation that we're having here is done at the village level. So that we sit in our village, the pastor is there, the head teacher of the local primary school, secondary school, the community leaders are there and have this conversation of, we have this number of these 2 girls in our village who got pregnant last year. What are this? How did they get pregnant? How do we ensure that we prevent this at that local level? It will build a momentum that will be enough to stop this, to enhance this conversation and to stop this menace that we are talking about. I think the approach that we have developed between the ministry, what we call the triple threat campaign, is going to change things in a big way. In terms of now the teenage pregnancies, understanding the sexual education issues about girls and all that, because we are talking about moving this to the community level.
Goes all the way to the grassroots.
Yes.
Are there timelines for this campaign? Like, do we know this is when the campaign launches? It is being anchored, of course, by the new policy that you launched. This is when the campaign is starting, and this is when the campaign should end. And this is how we shall measure the impact of the campaign. Do we have?
Yes, we have an implementation framework, timelines, and how we have.
By the end of 2 years, what should we expect to see and feel?
By the end of 2 years, I will not mention the numbers because I do not have them on our fingertips, but we expect to reduce teenage pregnancies by over 50%.
In 2 years?
Yes.
So in 2 years' time, then the government can also go to the National Assembly and they can easily bring the Sexual and Reproductive Health Rights Bill, and there'll be broad acceptance.
We hope so. We are hopeful. We will work to ensure that happens.
Okay. Let's end the conversation on a note of a story that appeared in the Standard last week, and this was regards to access to contraceptives.
So, the story came out, the details were quite scary in terms of the different testimonials that women who use this have been giving, but it's pointed to a herbal contraceptive that's widely used in the market in Kenya today, that's said to be a one-time take in terms of per month. So this contraception is taken once monthly. It's said to be herbal, so according to them, there are no side effects, and also it's quite affordable, and it's different from your normal pill, which we all know that the pill is a daily take, or if you're not taking the pill, you're taking a shot, which is a 3-month take, or if you have the implant, which is 4 to 5 years. This was a one-time per month. But then also health practitioners were talking about the side effects, which they have seen, the early onset of sexual development. Also, unfortunately, the onset of, the opposite sexual organs. If a girl was born, they would see that there was also the development of male genitalia. So obviously there was a problem there, and they were able to link this to the mother having taken this contraception. Another issue was that a lot of these women got pregnant anyway, even after having taken the contraception. So what's your take on that? Because it was actually quite, popular in the market, and quite a number of women have taken this and continue to take it.
I think we, as a ministry, we had a media roundtable, and we raised this as an issue of concern that out there is the Chinese medicine, so to speak, that is being sold as a herbal medicine and as an herbal contraceptive, as a herbal medicine, so to speak. And an analysis has been done of the product, and it has shown that it is actually not herbal. It contains very high levels of estrogen, progesterone, and therefore, while it's being sold disguised as herbal, it is actually not herbal. And this is in the purview of the Pharmacy and Poisons Board, which did the analysis and posted a warning, including in their website. And these are we are talking about yesterday or last week. This has been ongoing for many years. I think from 2008. This from 2008 that this product is not a medical product, and therefore, by regulation, the Pharmacy and Poisons Board has a role to enforce that this product should not be in the market.
Available in the market.
Of course, we know, and I keep saying that there is a difference between the legal provisions and the realities on the ground, because this product coming into this does not follow the rightful channel in terms of being declared as a medical product, being inspected by PPP. So it's coming through the back door, so to speak. And therefore, we have warned the members of public that this product is not good, is not herbal, and like you rightly said, has been linked to adverse effects on the mother, on the child, on the unborn child, and therefore it's important that we ask our women out there to desist from the use. When a product is not registered, what are you banning? It is already getting in through an illegal means.
Okay, let me ask the different question. How do you make it illegal? Because
how do you make it?
How do you ensure that it is illegal to even have it?
I think that is exactly
that's the status.
That is the status.
The Pharmacy and Poisons Board says this is not allowed in the Kenyan market. That means it's illegal in the market. That means it's banned, right? But it finds its way through these other channels. So maybe it's about enforcement.
Enforcement is about border surveillance, port surveillance,
and then public information.
Yes.
Because if people knew publicly that, well, this that's being sold, it is dangerous and these are the consequences, these are the side effects of it, then
they will distort the market because they will not buy. So whoever is bringing it here illegally will not have a market for their product, and therefore.
So is that something that you want to do as a ministry? Have a complete nationwide public awareness campaign. Please avoid this. Do not buy this.
From where I sit as a ministry, and I said this is the law established the Pharmacy and Poisons Act. Pharmacy and Poisons Act established the PPB, which is of course an organ of the Ministry of Health, but they have the mandate to do that. And I am sure they have been doing it, and I already said they have published it in their website. And I think a bit more tightening of the port of entry to ensure that we are able to stop this, and of course continuous messaging, because beyond the public warning in the website and in newspapers, the message needs to be continuous so that the unsuspecting members of public are made aware.
They get to know about it. Dr. Hari, thank you very much for joining us today. We look forward to having you again and again and again.
Thank you. Welcome to the World Contraceptive Day celebration.
Where?
At Radisson Blu.
So what's happening on the day today?
We coming together communities in the reproductive health space, in the contraceptive space, having conversation and celebrating the day. More of advocacy.
Okay. And awareness.
See you.
Asante sana. Dr. Andrew Mulwa, Director of Medical Services for Promotive and Preventive Health at the Ministry of Health, has been our guest this morning. And as we bid him good afternoon, good morning, we tell him to make sure that you keep practicing, because the Standard Chartered Marathon is coming up at the end of October. Yeah, and you look healthy enough to run with us, behaving like an athlete.
Thank you.
The Standard Chartered Nairobi Marathon taking place on the 30th of October. Of course, there is a physical run between the 23rd and the 30th. The virtual run is the 23rd and the 30th, and the physical run on the 30th itself. NairobiMarathon.com. Register. Good morning, 8 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Good morning. This is Newswire. I am Stephanie Wangari. ODM leader Raila Odinga will today chair a meeting of the Central Management Committee amidst growing discontent in his party. The party's top decision-making organ meeting is expected to address 20 issues that threaten to tear it apart. However, ODM National Chairman John Mbadi said the meeting's agenda will be to approve the party's books of account. Wafula Buke, who is an ardent ODM supporter and a second liberation hero, said the party is currently in a state of hopelessness after Raila lost the presidency. Buke said it was sad that the ODM leader was under capture by a team that orchestrated his loss in the just concluded general election. Turkana Governor Jeremiah Lomokurai has condemned banditry attacks that saw a local chief, 2 members of the public and 8 police officers shot dead by suspected Pokot bandits. Lomo Rukai has blamed the Ministry of Interior, saying it has not been keen to issue a lasting solution over security in the areas.
To this point in time, no action has been taken to bring justice to place. This is what really will anger even a person who has never been willing actually even to become angry. We feel we should receive justice from the government of Kenya. We should get justice from the security apparatus of this country, because that is the role of a government.
Together with his Senator James Lominen, the leader said the government have a duty of protecting its citizens.
Sasa hiyo tutasema nini? Kazi ya serikali ni kuchunga mali ya watu na kuchunga maisha ya watu. Kama serikali sasa imeshindwa, imewezwa kulinda maisha ya watu na kulinda mali ya watu, basi hakuna serikali. Tutaamini tukiwa viongozi ya Turkana, tutaamini kwamba serikali iko wakati tutajua tu kwamba wakati wa Pokot wale wanaua watu wamepambana na serikali, wameshukwa.
The National Police Service says it has since sent a multi-agency security operation at Kakitaitai village in Turkana sub-county, where lives were lost and livestock stolen by bandits. Now, African Rising for Unity, Justice and Peace organization has continued to advocate for free borders so as to enhance free markets in Africa. The organization's chairman, Kaumba Tore, says free markets will help grow skills among people and nations.
Why we are where we are is that we have a global system of extraction, a theft economy that have follow-up after colonization, that is systematic, that is helped even by our own leaders. It's possible to change this. And we believe that there can come a time where we can cross these borders, where we can unite, where what is ours, our riches, serve us first, that we come out of this bondage. It's about economic justice, it's about environmental justice, gender equality, it's about cultural recognition.
Kenya Red Cross Secretary General Asha Mohammed has called on the government and other humanitarian organizations to come to the aid of Kenyans adversely affected by drought. Speaking during an interview on Citizen TV, Mohammed said that the situation continues to worsen by the day.
The situation is very dire, I would say, and for us as an organization, we've been on the ground since the beginning. And I have been to some of these communities repeatedly, I would say, to the extent that you can see the deterioration that is actually happening. We need to go beyond calling it just a food crisis and hunger crisis. It's actually a crisis of human existence. If you go out there and see how people are living, you reach a point where when communities start to despair, communities start to lose hope, it's no longer just about giving them food. It's about their dignity, it's about livelihoods.
Iranians have defied a warning from its judiciary and took to the streets for a 10th consecutive night yesterday to protest the death of a young Kurdish woman, Mahsa Amini. Amini was arrested for allegedly failing to wear a headscarf and died while in police custody. Since the protest started, at least 41 people have died, mostly protesters. That's your news at the top of the hour. My name is Stephanie Wangari.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
A really busy morning with traffic. Today we're looking at coming off Langata Road. That's also getting heavy as you go towards the Huru Highway out into the city. Looking at some traffic coming onto Raila Odinga Way and then out towards Gong Road, which is going to connect with the madness that has been happening on Haile Selassie. In and outbound traffic has been really heavy all morning and it started very early today. Coming off Landys, which in turn comes off Jogo Road. That whole area is crazy and it's bumper to bumper. Let's take a look at the Thika Superhighway, which started early as well. Traffic then coming past that Outer Ring Junction, and it's heavy inbound traffic is bumper to bumper. The same thing is happening on Kiambu Road this morning. And we're looking at a couple of lanes. Outbound traffic is not an issue. Inbound traffic is now doubling up to 3-4 lanes and it's quite congested. On Limuru Road, we're also seeing traffic that's coming in from all places. It's coming in from United Nations Avenue. It's coming in then from Red Hill Road and out from Ruaka Kitisuru. That's really heavy this morning. We're going to see all of it come out through then Limuru Road this morning. Got to keep our wits about, folks. Let's know what's going on where you are. We're going to be in traffic hour for a while from all indications. Let's be careful whatever it is that we do. Let's talk on SpiceFM, KE on Twitter.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not
Coming
down.
up to 8 minutes after 8.
This is the Situation Room,
To
the only way to start your
conversation. This is the Situation Room on Spice FM, on KTN Home, online on YouTube and Facebook, and www.spicefm.co.ke. For the next 1 hour, we talk about the role of deputy governors in the country, what they do, what we expect of them, and what they expect of themselves, and what their governors expect of them. We'll be joined by somebody. Hey, my people of Loitoktok, Amukeni. Our deputy governor is in the show. But before we welcome him, let us hear the day's proverb. CT?
Yes. Ashes fly back into the face of those who throw them. This is a proverb from the country of Niger. Yes.
Niger.
Not Niger.
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 River in Nigeria.
Okay. So do they call it Niger, or is it the French that came and called them Niger?
It's interesting because it was the French, but the River Niger is in Nigeria,
and it doesn't travel up to.
There's nowhere where River Niger enters Niger.
Nope.
Are you sure?
Okay.
Yes.
And the Niger Delta is in Nigeria.
It is, and Nigeria is called Nigeria.
Yes.
Okay. And what did the French call Nigeria?
Nigeria.
Okay.
The French really get these things wrong sometimes.
They
don't
really do. Sometimes get things bottoms up.
Sawa, repeat the proverb, please.
Ashes fly back into the face of those who throw them.
Ashes fly back into the face of those who throw them.
Dr. Muller told us when he was growing up in Cumberland, his grandmother had a similar proverb, but it was with sand. You throw sand into the air, the wind blows it back at you.
Comes straight into your eyes. His Excellency Martin Moshisho Martine is the Deputy Governor of Kajiado County. Good morning.
Good morning.
Karibu sana to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Asante sana.
There must be a Maasai proverb that's close to this one.
I'm trying to remember.
It doesn't sound strange when you hear this. It sounds like something that you have heard of, right?
Yes, I'm trying to relate. I only know maybe a Kiswahili one that is closer to that.
Which one?
Usiache mpachao
kwa msala upitao.
This means do not do something negative because it might end up hurting you. Yeah. Unaacha mpacha ni mafi kwa njia ambayo wewe unapita na unaacha ukifikiria itaumiza wale wengine ambao wanapita. Kumbe hata wewe unapita hiyo njia.
Pia wewe pia unapita the same. Karibu sana to our show.
Asante sana.
Like I'm saying, the people of my neck of the woods are happy to have you here.
Thank you.
To hear their Deputy Governor speaking. Yes. On top of that, being the Deputy Governor of Kajiado County, you are also the new chair of the Deputy Governors Forum.
Yes.
Tell us about the Deputy Governors Forum. What is it? Why is it important? And does it have a secretariat like the Council of Governors?
Yes, thank you very much. As I said, my name is Martin Moshisho, Deputy Governor Kajiado, and the new chair of Deputy Governors Forum. Deputy Governors Forum is anchored in the COG, Council of Governors. But generally, this forum was formed to ensure that it champions the rights of deputy governors. We complement the efforts of the Council of Governors, but now there are specific issues that relates to deputy governors and that are well articulated by deputy governors alone. But we work hand in hand with the Council of Governors here.
What are some of these issues, and then what are those things that you hope to achieve? What are some of those issues that are, just deputy governor issues that then need handling? And then what would you hope to achieve by having this council?
Let me start by saying that the Constitution mandates or requires a governor to nominate a running mate, and they would be elected as in a joint ticket. The Constitution has, explained the roles of a deputy governor. Though we feel as a council, and that is one of the things that we always push, and we will continue pushing, that the role of a deputy governor has not really been defined well, because in Article 1, in Section 179, 4, says that the deputy governor, the governor is the CEO of a county, and the deputy governor is the deputy CEO. Then 5 says, in the absence of a governor, the deputy governor acts.
Yep.
It is only in the county act that says that a governor may appoint a deputy governor as a CC. So the roles of the deputy governor are so few. And that brings about the issue of salaries. We have been complaining to SRC that, look, deputy governors are remunerated so low compared to the salary that a governor is receiving. And also, when you look at salaries in the public service, you look at principal and the deputy. The gap is so slim. But when it comes to a governor and the deputy governor, the difference is so wide. And
How wide?
It's so wide. You know, governor receiving 924, while the deputy governor is receiving 621. Yeah. Look
So
at
there's
the
a
gap between the
300,000
president
difference.
and the deputy president. The gap is so small. Look at, say, the commissioner of police and the deputy. The gap is so small. And while upon inquiry, we told by the SRC, the roles of the deputy governors has not been anchored in the law. You know, you cannot justify. So this time round, we're looking forward to ensure that we push and see how best the roles of the deputy governor can be anchored in law, so that it can justify, you know, an increment in salary.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what would those roles be? And I think that is the question that we continue to ask. I remember in the last administration, we had your predecessor, who was the deputy governor for Nyeri County, and we asked some of these same questions because this agitation started then.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So the question is, beyond deputizing the governor, right? When the governor is not there, certain things to be done, but he still only have then power over the purse per se. What are the roles, so that we can all understand them here?
Well,
what are the actual roles in the absence of this appointment as a CEC, for example, which I don't know if any have done at this point, where the law allows you to be appointed as a CEC as deputy governor? I don't know that any of the 47 have done that yet.
They haven't appointed CECs yet.
Exactly. So even in the previous administration, did we see a number of those happen? And then the question is...
Meru that had CEC finance being the deputy governor.
Yes.
One, right? So then what would be the role? In the absence of that, what would be the role?
Deputy governors play a lot of roles, but unfortunately is not recognized in law.
Let's use you as an example.
Yes.
This is your second term as deputy governor of Kajiado.
Yes.
In your first term,
what did you do?
Those 5 years, what did you do?
I do a lot of things. And number one, the working relationship between the governor and the deputy governor is very, very important. I'm glad to have one of the best bosses in the country. We have very good working relations. When you have a good governor, he allows you to, work without limitations in the county.
Okay.
Myself, for example, I chair subcommittees of the cabinet. I foresee, developments in our county. The governor allows me to commission projects, on his behalf. He requests me to, chair meetings of the county government. So I do a lot of things, but unfortunately, then such are not anchored in the law.
Can I ask this question?
Yes.
What would be ideal if we were to stretch our imagination? What would you like to see as being the definitive role of the deputy governor anchored in the law? What should we have? Because everything you say is it's at the behest of the governor.
Yes.
If the governor wakes up on a good day, it is. If he doesn't wake up on a good day, so what would it be?
Number one, we have been really pushing that a deputy governor be assigned a role. Yeah. One, if it is the CC position, let it not be the governor may. Let it be the governor shall. Yeah. Because it depends with the kind of governor you have. If he decides he will not appoint you,
that's it.
That is it. But the law should be very clear. Number two, just like the president, but the deputy president who chairs IBEC meetings, the deputy governor can also be assigned to chair things like, and it becomes in the law, subcommittees of the CEC of the cabinet, subcommittees of the cabinet. There are also some intergovernmental committees in the county that brings the county commissioner and his line and the county government. Those meetings should be chaired by the deputy governor.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the deputy governor becomes the liaison between the county government and the national government.
And the national government.
At local level.
At the county level.
Okay.
There are many roles that can be given to the county deputy governor, like monetary and evaluation role. Yeah. He can be able to oversee how things run in the county, whether we really meeting the expectation of the county government. Then it is stipulated in law.
Okay.
That will be
Which law would this be?
Number one,
we don't have to amend the constitution, do we?
We can. This can be possible even through an act of parliament.
Okay.
And that is what we're pushing. Yeah. Through the Senate. That is one of my first responsibilities. I'll be meeting a few senators to be able to push that an act of parliament can be passed to really put down the roles of the deputy governors. And that is when we will be able to justify our pay.
You know, I see a problem.
What's the problem?
You see, a law has to be passed. Senate, National Assembly. Now, people in these two houses, at some point or the other, entertain the idea of being governors themselves. And it appears to me that the idea of having an all-powerful governor is something that those who are in those legislative houses like. I would dare say love. So the likelihood of them changing it so that they can actually share power, I see it as being very remote.
We have seen most of these leaders, trying to sabotage another office. Little did they know that things change. We now have MCS who are now governors. We now have MPs who are now governors. We now have senators who are now governors. I think the best thing, make a law as if you are the next holder of that office tomorrow. Yeah? Because anything is possible. Yeah, anything is possible. In fact, we now have governors who went back to become senators. This is my advice to every leader in our country, whether in the legislature or in the county, try to better another office because you are bettering Kenya, and you can also be a candidate of that office tomorrow. Yeah. At some point, Senator Sang told us, I wish I knew that one day I would be the governor, because sometimes some laws that I was not really for it to be passed in the Senate,
Would have benefited me.
I'll be the beneficiary of that law today when I'm the governor. So anything can happen. I think it became a lesson, and his mind is open. He can now sit as a Kenyan. He can be able to see that this will help Kenya and will help me even when I become the holder of that office tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I see the advocacy that you're talking about, as the Deputy Governors Forum, starting from the previous government into now, you taking over as the chair. You've been given a mandate by your members, all the other 46 Deputy Governors. Let us champion that our role is anchored in law. Do you have a draft bill that you're presenting when you're meeting with the senators as you champion this? Do you have something that you have? This is what we have ready. You can discuss it. You can amend it going forward.
Yes. We have written proposals that we have presented to SRC, not once, but the argument of SRC is that when we put and take them through valuation, and then they will take through valuation. They do not find reverence in the law, and then becomes null and void. So we're pushing to see it how best it can be anchored in law, because we already have them in paper.
Okay,
we already
so that's
have
what I'm asking.
Yes.
Have you drafted a bill?
Yes.
This is a bill, a draft bill.
No.
And then the senators will just be looking at it and seeing whichever senator champions on your cause would look at it and actually just take and subject it through the Senate drafters to see what needs to be amended.
I think we have not put it in a draft kind of a bill, though there are some senators who have made some attempts towards that, like Senator Murkomen. I will be looking to meet him anytime soon, because the channel we have been using SRC and the Council of Governors, only to find that however much we try to push through that, SRC became very open to us that it is not about us.
We
it is
operate
about
on the law.
Yeah. So we need to take another route.
Approach.
Yeah.
So looking just at what you said, for example, what you were doing in the previous term, you Governor Lelenku appointed you to chair some subcommittees of the county executive committee. You were oversighting some development projects. You were commissioning some projects on behalf of the governor. You were chairing meetings on behalf of the governor. But this one's, like you said, it's because of the goodwill of the person of Joseph Olelenku. If Olelenku did not feel it, even in this second time, he felt, Martin is just too much. You can actually lose any job that you wake up and you have no job you have done at the end of the day. And you'll still be earning 500,000 shillings. 621,000 shillings from the people of Kenya. Okay. Let's continue that conversation after this break.
But anyway, I'll
so that we then understand.
Back.
I mean, this is the push that the deputy governors have been asking for. This is the push that the deputy governors have. 28 minutes after 8, His Excellency Martin Moshisho is the deputy governor of Kajiado County and the chair of the National Deputy Governors Forum. He's here with us in the studio talking about the role of deputy governors. None anchored in law, apart from just being the principal assistant to the governor and taking over office if we impeach the governor or when the governor is away, then takes over office. That and more coming up after this. Kajiado is county number what?
034.
There's county 49.
No.
Yes, it's
that is
fictional.
national government. we say 47 and 47 counties, 48 governments, one nation.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Showmax would want you to think differently because Showmax has dropped their most recent production called County 49. It's a fictional county. It's called Boatele County. And the very interesting things that are happening between a governor and the deputy, interestingly enough, and the people have a say in how the county will be ruled. You need to watch it. County 49 on Showmax, 760 shillings at least per month to have an opportunity to see this and other great programming by great Kenyan actors. Interesting to see the intrigues following through.
Bwana DG, if you watch that one, you'll have a way of...
This problem will not be there.
Really?
You will see. People have thought about it and have come up with a solution.
Wonderful.
8:30, let's take a break. We'll be back shortly. Good morning.
The adults in the room.
He's promiscuous or he's polygamous. We need to get over ourselves.
So I should always know the man that marries me, I know there'll be other women.
Yes.
The relationship you have with yourself is the foundation of the relationships you will have with other people.
Things that we never talk about. 3 things. Stop, breathe, and relax.
Whether it is matters of the heart, finances, or work that's weighing on your mind, worry not.
Tune into Adults in the Room
every Monday to Friday from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m.
The adults in the room will help you stay winning. Only on 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
When you think about education hubs, Japan has long been at the list of preferred destinations to provide world-class programs. The Study in Japan Global Network Project and Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, Science and Technology in Japan are hosting an online event for students and professionals looking to further their education and join master's and PhD programs in social sciences such as internal public policy and conflict studies, economics and management, and sciences such as information technology, environmental sciences, biomedical science, agriculture, engineering, and veterinary medicine. Join the Study in Japan online fair for Sub-Saharan Africa 2022 on the 30th of September and on the 1st of October by registering on 2022.studyinjapan-africa-portal.com. Don't miss out.
Sunny conditions this morning in Nairobi, highs of 25, and we'll see highs of 24 in a sunny Nakuru at 16. The rain is coming down in Nyeri at 15, highs of 23, and we'll see highs of 24 in a sunny Eldoret, currently at 16 as well. It's raining in Mombasa at 25, highs of 29 and lows of 23, and we'll see highs of 29 in a rainy Malindi at 26, coming down to lows of 24. Kisumu is sunny at 20, highs of 29, and we'll see highs of 27 in a sunny Kakamega at 21. Rain showers through Kampala at 21, highs of 27, and Dar es Salaam is raining as well, going to highs of 30 and lows of 22. Partly sunny conditions at 19 in Johannesburg, highs of 29 today, and it's raining in Lagos at 25. It'll go to highs of 28. 32 will be the high in a mostly cloudy Kinshasa at 23. It'll come down to lows of 22.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM.
Traffic still continues. Traffic hour is hot and heavy this morning. We've seen quite some traffic through the city. Langata Road is piling up, trying to, come off of those 12 hours of closure that happened over the weekend. So that uplifting of that interchange happened. The footbridge was put up there, so I think we're still dealing with the dregs of that, but it's heavy going towards Uhuru Highway. Whatever happened on Jogo Road overnight and then leading towards Landis is now spilling over to outbound traffic as well, coming into Kamkunji and then onto Haile Selassie. Really, really busy traffic this morning, and we're looking at the other side of the city coming in from Westlands, pretty heavy as well. Not too bad coming off of Ngong Road, but we're looking at traffic then on James Gishuru. It spilled over Wayaki Way well into Kino Road, and we're looking at Red Hill, really, really heavy today. This morning, we're looking at traffic on Limuru Road, heavy as well, coming into the city throughout Nairobi. You'll feel the thump of the traffic this morning. Keep an eye on things and let us know what's going on where you are. SpiceFM, KE on Twitter. Keep moving.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Spice FM on KTN Home and online with Martin Moshisho, the Deputy Governor of Kajiado County and the Chair of the Deputy Governors Forum. Eric Latif, Ndu Oko and C.T. Muga hosting him. The Constitution says that the person who wants to be governor shall appoint a running mate and they will be elected together, jointly as governor and deputy governor. And then the Constitution stipulates the role of the governor and also the role of the county executive. The county executive shall be comprised of governor, deputy governor, and members of the county executive committee, who will not exceed 10, who will also not exceed, is it a third of the number of wards or elected MCAs in any county, okay? There's a job of the CECM, there's a job of the governor, there's a job of the county assembly, but there's no clearly stipulated job for a deputy governor. And now the deputy governors for the last 2 terms have been feeling rather wasted, unless working with the goodwill of a governor. Like Deputy Governor Moshisho is telling us, his governor has assigned him some roles. We know the former governor of Meru County had appointed his deputy governor to be a member of his cabinet in charge of finance and others. Then others have no defined roles. So you just end up sitting there, waking up, going to work, and not knowing exactly what you're doing. Issues there, sitting.
You know, the issue here has to do with this individual on this planet called the human being, and how the human being interacts with power, and how power also interacts with the human being. If you look at the highest office in the land, which is the presidency, opportunities have been there when we were actually writing the 2010 Constitution to have had a presidency that perhaps has a greater check and balance than this winner-take-all variety that we have. The opportunity was missed. The people who made that decision were Kenyans. They were in leadership, they had been entrusted with that, but they made that decision to go that direction. Now the consequences, they can complain about as much as they like, but that opportunity was missed. When they tried to do an about turn with
BBI.
Yes. They tried to, but clearly the law didn't agree with the process that they were following. And they were told, no, halt right there. So now we have a situation where we're trying to say, look, this is being mirrored with the position of a governor. And we'd like a situation where some definitiveness in the roles of the deputy are there. At independence, when you had a president, the role of the deputy was clear. He was called a vice president. He was vice president and minister for home affairs. There was always an and. Later on, it was vice president and minister for finance, whatever it was. But you had a ministerial role. We clawed back on that. And now we're trying to go back again to what it was before. The leadership in this country and the political processes that they represent, are we saying that we've got to a point where those who are entrusted with making our laws, are they sufficiently empowered in their thinking? Not with the law empowers them, but in their thinking, to enable a situation where what has been talked about for this length of time can actually be actualized. Can we have a situation where the deputy governors have a definitive role, just like can we have beyond chairing IBAC, that a deputy president can actually have a definitive role? Can we get there? That's really the question in my mind.
Should we?
Yes, we should. Not we might, we should. When you talk about devolving power, it should be devolved at every level of leadership. Every.
You know, when I listen to you, Mr. Moshisho, and then I also listen to your predecessor, Dr. Caroline Karogo, I don't hear a unified sound of this is what a deputy governor should do. You know, like now you said, the deputy governor should chair a meeting monthly or quarterly or whatever meeting between the county government, the county executive, the county assembly, and the local and the national government officials at local level. This is the county commissioner and the county security and the county. I don't hear that. I mean, if we were saying that this is what we want, chair this, also be a member of cabinet or chair a cabinet subcommittee on development that looks at the development budget and how the development budget is being implemented and this and the other, then we'd be saying, okay, so it's very clear this is what they're asking for. It's very clear even when they're saying go to parliament, this is what the deputy governor would do. And then we can even start seeing, you go and talk to your governor and he actually allows you to do it. Then we can see practically, for example, in Kajiado, this is what we are seeing a deputy governor do. Now I just hear, a deputy governor does not have a role and we need to have a role. It's like you people don't even know what role you want to have.
This time round, we want to be very specific. We want to be very specific and we'll put it down and we're going to present it to the Senate. Because as it is, counties vary. For example, in Kajiado, a section of finance is under my office. Yeah, but it's not written anywhere in law. It is the governor who has, allowed me to be in charge of a section of finance called the emergency department. Yeah, you find in another county, for example, in Meru last time, the deputy governor is in charge of, is the CCM in charge of finance. You find in another county, a deputy governor is given a role of Minister of Health. And the rest of the counties do not even give a deputy governor a simple role. So we need to, be uniform, at least in items that we will anchor them in law. Yeah. So this time round, we are going to be very precise, and we will engage our legislature to ensure that we give flesh to the roles of a deputy governor. However, as we wait for that to happen, we need harmony in our counties. In the last 10 years, county government has been a scene of squabbles between the governor and the deputy governor. How does that come about?
Could it be possible that at the time when a, would-be governor was picking his or her running mate, this conversation was not had? That it would look as though in many instances, somebody was picked for the sake of having a running mate. It is inevitable that somewhere then down the line, these squabbles that you speak of then would come about because the best laid plans were not laid out before the ascension of office.
Definitely during campaigns and when you're picking a running mate, you don't discuss the nitty-gritties of the office.
But why?
Yeah. Yours will be about winning, and then we'll discuss about it. But there are some, politicians, sometimes they decide to merge. He was running for governor, you are running for governor. Then you decide,
let's come together.
And then you will strike a deal on how to share power. That is slightly different from a governor running mate, a governor candidate just picking one of his own choice. Probably he's just removing from a different world from politics.
But also it's balancing. So for example, if you as a governor candidate come from this part of the county, then you pick somebody from the other part of the county.
Yes.
So when you're going to campaign, you say, no,
Yes. But just to be honest, in most cases, such are not discussed.
Okay.
Such are not discussed.
What happens
help?
after we go into office is not discussed.
Do you think it would help greatly? Because perhaps these are issues, I mean, we're probably going into now, what, the third, fourth round after, this has all happened. And it seems as though the same issues, the threading through, is the same problem. So how do you come into a campaign for something and there's a possibility of you winning this thing?
Yeah.
But then you've not discussed what you're actually going to do when you get there. We know that the law provides that the possible job of a deputy could be, again, at the behest of the governor, if they decide that they're going to give you. How about having that conversation beforehand and say, look, if we win this thing upon your strengths, which I'm hoping that there are strengths that the deputy governor was picked as a running mate, right? I'm hoping that they were upon some strengths. How about then that you use these strengths when we get into office? It seems as though it is clear that there was a failure to plan, which then was a plan to fail.
Before being elected, both candidates are very good.
To each
the
other.
Governor candidate is very good.
The deputy
candidate, very good. But when you get elected, that is when you will see the real person. Yeah. The governor can also be good, and the deputy is bad.
Yes.
Yeah. The deputy can be good, but the governor is bad.
Yeah.
So I'm saying here is two things. One, stipulating and defining the role of a deputy governor in law. That is Kanto. That one we have to put it parking because it needs to have a process and anchor it in law. But here we have an issue with the relationship between a governor and the deputy governor. That can even go beyond the law.
Yep.
You can still make a very conducive atmosphere in the county by how you relate. The governor and the deputy governor. In the past, many counties, service delivery was tampered with because of the relationship between the governor and the deputy governor. We all know what happened with Kiambu.
Yep.
And it resulted to the governor going home and the deputy governor becoming a governor. The same thing happened with Nairobi. Started with the deputy governor being frustrated, not given any role. He's just come into office, swing in a very beautiful seat, eat mandazis and some chai, and go home. The same problem led to the governor exiting. And miraculously, we got another deputy governor just taking over. We saw what happened in Wajir. So, governors should not be comfortable in a suffocating environment. They should not be comfortable with sidelining their deputies because ultimately, finally, can cost them their seats. And anytime there is a disagreement, there is no harmony in the county, your enemies will be your friends. They will come cheering you. They will cheer the deputy governor, and you think a lot of people now love you. Others will cheer the governor. No, continue pressing your deputy, continue. And you think they love you. But where they want to take you is to ensure that both of you fight. And you can both lose the seat.
Excellency, something puzzles me here.
Yeah.
What you're saying makes a lot of sense to me. But unless you come from a background that wasn't political, but you've entered the political arena, how would you get into a partnership without agreeing on how it is you're going to share this partnership? It's what puzzles me. I mean,
Without having the conversation.
Yes, okay, I'm going to be a deputy, and then what else am I going to do? Because if it was the first time we're having this, we'd say we're not sure about this role of governor. We have a fairly clear idea what this role is. We have a fairly clear idea right now what a county can do. Why do you think those who are in the position of being governors, whether it's appointed or by agreement, why don't they negotiate for what it is that, so that, or is it that they negotiate and then, as you say, people change, they get power, the person says, look, we're campaigning.
I have a feeling that happens. You know, that at that point when, for example, the governor is approaching you, he'll tell you, come be my deputy. Once you get into office, you'll be helping. The job of the governor will be this and the other, and you'll be helping on this and the other. But it's not written anywhere. And it's not anchored in any piece of legislation. So the guy gets in, and he has the instruments of power. The only thing he cannot do is fire you. But that's all. But then politically, this is a political solution that cannot really be solved by law.
But that's why His Excellency is right, because then you actually set in motion a process that can actually harm you.
Both of you.
Yes. Both of you, I think, is the better option here. Yes.
In my own view, I think even after defining the roles of the deputy governor and after anchoring it in law, if there is no a good working relation between the boss and the principal assistant, we will never stop complaining. So it is important to anchor it in law, but most importantly, there should be a good working relation between the governor and the deputy governor. And I have an advice also for deputy governors. When you are a deputy governor, you are not a governor. You should accept.
Accept you're not the boss.
Yeah, you're not the boss. Yeah.
Stick to your lane.
And I think any time a deputy governor, number one, is not loyal to his boss, something has to happen. If a deputy governor gives the boss a reason to doubt him or her, things will change. So I think the most important thing is for the deputy governor, this is just a piece of advice to my colleagues, is you need to be very loyal to your boss. Do not give him or her a reason to doubt you, because any time you doubted,
something happens.
Something happened. So we also have our role to play in making sure that this happens.
In making sure that you placate the boss.
Yes.
And on that line,
yes.
Bwana Moshisho, do you think the governors should have a bit of an easier way of getting rid of their deputies? If you get to that point, as one thing of as one stick of ensuring that the deputy governor then toes the line. You see, right now, I've been elected. I'm here for 5 years. No matter what you think of me, you cannot get rid of me easily. All I need to do is go into the county assembly and make sure that any motion that you bring to try and get me out shall not work. Should a governor be given that kind of a stick, be allowed to, if you feel that the deputy governor is not working well with you, then you can even have a vote within the CECMs to get rid of the deputy?
Never. As it is, it is the best.
This one, now you have two people with kichwa ngumu.
Not really, but we both elected. It is the people who put us to that office. It is only the power of the people that can remove us from. That is protection. That is protection. And one strength that we have is that protection, that we were elected, the governor cannot fire. And except through, the steps, the process that has been given by law is when a deputy governor can leave office. But the sovereignty and the power should not be given to the governor to fire, a deputy governor.
Should remain like that.
Yeah.
There's a question that Peter Ongera is advancing here. Until that moment when we have the role of the deputy governor anchored in law, and we know clearly when this person is in office, this is what they do, should we say that a deputy governor should now just be receiving allowances, not a salary? 612,000 shillings for what? You have no job you're doing.
We are doing a lot. Except in counties that the governor and the deputy governor are fighting.
So should in those counties the governor go to the county assembly and say, I am not assigning my deputy any role, so let him just earn an allowance?
It is not possible.
Can I ask you this question?
Yes.
In your estimate, those governors who clearly do not want to assign certain roles to their deputies, in essence, it equals them wanting all power to themselves. What do you think is the motivation? Because is it that they forget that at some point they'll stop being governors? Because you will stop being a governor at some point. And also, it also means that the services that you promised the people who elected you will probably not be delivered.
Definitely.
What do you think is the thinking behind such people? I mean, I'm just asking because you're the one who's on that seat and you come across these people.
I think at some point governors are also ill-advised. Others tell them if you empower the deputy governor, he might be a possible candidate to oster you in the next election. So, pima vile. Yeah. Yeah. But that should not be the case. That should not be the case. A county that the governor do not work well with the deputy, service delivery is really hindered. So I think that is a bad advice. And as I said, if there is any deputy governor who is planning to outshine the boss or something, also stop that. Yeye ni mdosi, sisi tutumikie watu na tuwasaidie. Yeah. So
so it's a bit hard for a deputy not to tanga.
Is everybody, looking at the entire council, is everybody resolute in this one thing that we must get extra work to do so that our roles are defined, or is it so that we can justify
we can go to
request
SRC
for an increment in salary? Which one is it? To actually have work done within the county, or to say, look, because of this now, we are assured of being able to go to SRC and say, look, Mr. Mengich, please, you can go ahead and increase our salary. Which one is it?
Number one, there is increment of salary, very important, but unless justified by the law. Number two, the deputy governor are very competent people. We have in the deputy governor's forum professors. We have doctors. We have people, professional and experts from different fields. There has always been underutilization of their expertise and their ability. If the governors are going to give them space to exercise their expertise, our counties will be very far. So I'm just making an appeal to the governors to give space to utilize these resources.
Yeah, that's true.
Because they are it's a blessing to the counties to have them. But I like to appreciate the sentiments of the new chair of Council of Governors, Her Excellency Anwe Goro. She committed to ensure that there exists
harmony between governors and deputy governors. And this is my proposal to the Council of Governors. Before we allow things to soar up in counties, why don't we have a committee of the Council of Governors who can resolve such matters before these cracks happen in the county?
Like a mediation committee.
A mediation committee, just to arbitrate. Where is the problem? Then you are told if the governor is in the wrong, governor, you are in the wrong here, please treat your deputy in this manner. When the deputy is in the wrong, he will be told, please toe the line. This is how it should happen. Then we avoid washing
Fishes
our dirty
becoming
linen in public.
That's very true.
I'll make this suggestion to the Council of Governors. There are things that we can be able to remedy in-house before
they go out of
they
hand.
go out.
Mheshimiwa, asante sana for joining us today and also for those words. Martin Moshisho Martine is the chair of the Deputy Governors Forum and is the Deputy Governor of Kajiado County. Thank you very much for keeping it here. It's 9 a.m. Time for the news. Good morning.
Good morning. This is Newswire. I am Stephanie Wankari. A 5-story building under construction has collapsed in Kirigiti, Kiambu County. Authorities say a number of people have been trapped inside. Officials from the Kiambu County government and police are already at the scene of incident. We will bring you more of this story in our subsequent bulletins. Now, the national government has started establishing holding areas for suspected Ebola victims at Malaba and Busia border points. Busia County Commissioner Samson Ojwang says that they are working closely with the county government to ensure truck drivers and people crossing the border into the country are screened. So far, 11 cases of Ebola have been reported in Uganda. Now, schools across the country are set to reopen today for the third term with a packed calendar that will mainly include national examinations. Students will close on November 25th to allow national exams to be conducted. The term will run for 9 weeks, after which Class 8 students will sit their Kenya Certificate of Primary Education for 4 days between November 28th and December the 1st. Turkana Governor Jeremiah Lomo Rukai has condemned banditry attacks that saw a local chief, 2 members of the public and 8 police officers shot dead by suspected Pokot bandits. Lomo Rukai has blamed the Ministry of Interior, saying it has not been keen to issue a lasting solution over insecurities in the area.
To this point in time, no action has been taken to bring justice to place. This is what really will anger even a person who has never been willing actually even to become angry. We feel we should receive justice from the government of Kenya. We should get justice from the security apparatus of this country, because that is the role of a government.
Together with his Senator James Lominen, the leaders say the government have a duty of protecting its citizens.
Sasa hiyo tutasema nini? Kazi ya serikali ni kuchunga mali ya watu na kuchunga maisha ya watu. Kama serikali sasa imeshindwa, imewezwa kulinda maisha ya watu na kulinda mali ya watu, basi hakuna serikali. Tutaamini tukiwa viongozi ya Turkana, tutaamini kwamba serikali iko wakati tutajua tu kwamba wakati wa Pokot wale wanaua watu wamepambana na serikali, wameshukwa.
In a statement today morning, the National Police Service says a multi-agency security operation has been launched at Kaki Teitei village in Turkana sub-county, where lives were lost and livestock stolen by bandits. Now, African Rising for Unity, Justice and Peace organization has continued to advocate for free borders so as to enhance free markets in Africa. The organization's chairman, Ombaso, says free markets will go a long way to help both people and nations.
Why we are where we are is that we have a global system of extraction, a theft economy that have follow-up after colonization, that is systematic, that is helped even by our own leaders, it's possible to change this. And we believe that there can come a time where we can cross these borders, where we can unite, where what is ours, our riches, serve us first. That we come out of this bondage. It's about economic justice. It's about environmental justice, gender equality. It's about cultural reconnection.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua is set to chair an intergovernmental meeting in efforts to curb the severe drought that has affected over 3 million Kenyans. This is after President William Ruto tasked him with the role, saying his government is keen on arresting the current situation by providing food relief to affected Kenyans. This even as Kenya Red Cross Secretary General Asha Mohammed says the situation continues to worsen by the day. That's your news at the top of the hour. My name is Stephanie Wangari.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
All right, so we're looking at traffic situation still continuing in most parts of this city, 5 minutes after 9 o'clock or so, and it's still pretty heavy coming off of the Thika Superhighway. That's still doing the thing, and it looks like we're going to be here for some time. Kiambu Road looks a little bit better, as it does on Limuru Road as well. Looking at Juja Road, getting into the city, in and outbound traffic is also quite busy. It's connecting with Outer Ring, and also traffic at your different spots coming off Uhuru Highway into the city. Quite busy. Just coming out of that conversation, we're also looking at traffic on Oloitoktok coming out towards Ring Road Westlands, really busy on James Gishuru as well as you cross over Waiyaki Way. So still in traffic hour in terms of seconds on the clock, but we'll keep an eye on things and see what happens through the morning. Talk to us on SpiceFM, KE on Twitter.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room.
7 after 9.
The
How
only
you
way.
doing? Welcome to the final hour of the show this morning. We're still live across the country and across the globe. CT, that proverb from Niger.
Yes. Still there?
Mhm.
Want me to read it?
Yes.
Okay. Proverb from Niger. Here goes. Ashes fly back into the face of those who throw them. You throw ash into the wind. All right. Lo and behold.
It's coming back.
Your face, poof.
Yep. Mouth opened, eyes open.
Everything inside.
All over.
Yes, indeed.
All over. Now, when you talk about the conversation that we were having earlier with the Deputy Governor of Kajiado, chair of the DG's Forum, it sounds like, a no-brainer. Somebody just go, let the Senate and the National Assembly start this conversation. It can't start anywhere. Best if it started in the Senate. You have members right now of Senate who are former governors. You have people who are looking to become governors next time. You're just looking at, all right, so what's the best way of making sure that the job of the deputy governor is clear and stipulated? And I think we should also take it further to the national level. Apart from chairing IBEC, what else does the deputy president do?
She's deputy.
What else? I mean,
That's it. Really? That's really it.
because the chairing of IBEC is just one meeting. That just that's it. There's no other job, and chairing of IBEC is contained in the PFM Act. So what else should a deputy president do. So we don't see, for example, this time, Rigathi Gachagua going around the country saying he's not been given a job by his boss to do. Or Dr. William Ruto saying, you know what, my deputy is now going all over and giving away forest land to people to farm, and I'm not giving the authority. What can we ensure that this doesn't happen? Huyu naibu wangu nilisikia juzi amepeana mashamba. Hatuko tumeongea, sijui nani amepatia hiyo kazi.
Kumstuni. Wow.
Kumstuni. Anakatakata misitu.
You know, the discussion about the sharing of power is an interesting one, but only insofar as we assume it is the only thing that's being discussed. Because political power in this country is not divorced from resources that supposedly go with those positions. If you have, say, a ministerial post, all right? Historically, it is assumed that the people who you represent in the sense the people who come from where you come from, the people whose nativity is similar to yours, ethnicity is similar to yours, ought to benefit. But alongside that are the personal benefits that individuals are supposed to accrue.
Yes.
So even when we discuss this at, say, the level of governor, okay? Yes, the discussion that we have, if we were to be honest, should be, all right, apart from the position, why is it that this discussion becomes so heated? I think it's because there's a feeling that you've been shut out from the acquisition of some goodies that come with positions.
Can we really ignore that prior to being in office, that this conversation was never really had?
I think it is hard.
With the understand, in terms of if we win, this is what we will do?
Yes, it is hard. Why would I want to be a deputy if I don't know what I'm going to get from it? I mean, why would I want to bother? Because the bother means you are required to also put aside some resources, apply some of those resources. Surely, there has to be gain. But the gain is not just in getting the position, but in the aftermath. Once we are in this position and we know the resources that the counties have, how do I stand to benefit? The personal and individual benefit, in my mind, is what brings about the problem. Meaning, when you're shut out from these other activities, you're shut out from that process of also gaining personally. And that is a difficult one because you also have followers who feel that there ought to be some benefit coming to them by virtue of your being there. And if you're shut out, it means they're also shut out.
Yeah. You represent a constituency.
Yes, you do.
That's the consideration that the governor candidate makes when they are picking someone.
Yes.
You represent a constituency. You represent some certain interests.
You do.
And then those interests ought to feel that inclusivity has actually been factored in in the execution of the mandate that both of you have been given. You can't just get in there and
then
ignore.
now start groping about and not be sure of what it's supposed to be doing.
Can you imagine if actually we saw the way Rigathi Gachagua right now is very active? Imagine cabinet is set up, everybody has a job, and then Rigathi Gachagua does not have a specific. What will he be doing? Just attending funerals and saying wewe ngoje uone vile tutafanya. And then there's a CS who is the one who does the ngoje
doing
uone.
the ngoje tutafanya.
Well, again, just like we started off this whole entire process by getting to a point where as a country we've come to accept the rule of law.
Yep.
The court decides. It doesn't matter what you think, what you like, what you don't like, how unhappy you are. That is your problem. As we say in Kenya, it is yours.
That's yours.
Yes. In the same way, when it comes to now roles being divvied out, okay? Unfortunately, I feel we haven't gotten to the point where we take this whole notion of sharing power well. Somebody happens to have power, they want to keep it to themselves as much as they possibly can.
Yep.
And if the law allows them to, they're going to be the last ones to interfere with that law. They let it just sit the way it is. And yet we can see the consequences and the problems that come about as a result of this. It's not something difficult to understand.
Yep.
But somehow people get in those positions and they do not want to budge. They don't.
That's true. We have a guest in the studio, third guest for the hour, for the day. And his name is Tim Kipchumba. Tim Kipchumba is very many things. He's an author, he's a mentor, he's an entrepreneur, he is... What else are you, Tim?
A dad.
Those ones have to come in. He's a husband, he's a father, he's a sibling.
He said he's a father. He didn't say he's a husband.
See,
that too.
I'm adding everything else.
No. He has to tell us himself.
You can assume.
Don't assume for him and he's here. Yes.
So, a father, God, husband.
Yeah. Well, a son of this country.
A taxpayer. Do you pay tax? Are you a taxpayer?
Taxes.
Are you a voter?
Are you a child of the Heavenly King?
Yes.
And keep going.
All these things we have to talk about. Tim, welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Situation Room.
Thank you.
So, now, just tell us exactly all these things that you've talked about. When you say that you're an entrepreneur, what exactly do you do in entrepreneurship?
Okay. So, well, thank you so much for having me. My name is Tim Kipchumba. I was born in Elgeyo Marakwet County. Right now, I'm an entrepreneur. I run a company called Questworks, which is the company award-winning construction engineering solar company. We are probably known for having built the largest solar plants in the country. 98 megawatts spread across 600 acres back in cases near Eldoret. But we've also done sustainable buildings. So if you've been to Strathmore University, we built all the Strathmore University buildings. We've done other projects that have won Green Award. As the future is, we really think that as the continent and the continent of Africa grows, we're going to be needing to build sustainable green buildings that are energy efficient, buildings that will have less carbon footprint.
Tim, I like what you're saying. I just don't understand it.
Yes. The carbon of the foot.
All that. The foot carbon footprint, that I have an idea what it means. But
the solar is
green building.
Solar I even know because it has to do with the sun. That I've gotten. Okay? But now this building.
That is green.
It's green.
Hey, you've got it. It's green. It's eco-friendly. It's a building. So what is it that you do with it? What do you build with it? What do you include in it? So that it's all these things that you're saying.
So for sure we don't paint it green. Yes. But we design the buildings to require less energy. So what does that mean? So
first of all, how does a building have more energy than it needs so that now yours has less? Well, how does that work?
Interesting. Yes. So it turns out 40% of our energy spent globally, energy, so meaning it's actually lighting and generally building use. So buildings can consume a lot of energy, whether it's in air conditioning, whether it's in lighting, whether it's in heating. Thankfully, in tropical part of this world, we don't need all that. But then there are ways you can design the buildings for them to be energy efficient. So imagine if you design the building east-facing, then it's a problem because it's facing the sun. So ideally, you don't want it.
But the way a building is, it faces everywhere.
I know.
Yes.
Where you have the chance to,
yes,
you shouldn't have, because then you have that effect. So if you have the sun hitting the building from east to west, now you need air conditioning. Now you need to do shields. If you use your shears or your curtains, now you need light. If you need light, you consume even more energy. But then you can use glass. You can do different orientation. You can use technologies like evaporative cooling, instead of traditional air conditioning. So evaporative cooling costs less, 5 times less than
air conditioning.
Than air conditioning in energy. What is it? So you displace air. Okay, so you pump cold air from outside. Okay, and then the cold air displaces the warm air out, and then that creates a natural effect of cooling, as opposed to constantly pumping in cold air, which consumes so much energy.
So you've done this thing at
So we've done this in Strathmore. We helped to do. Another one simpler one, very simple, which we did for Viva Energy. Black cotton soil. You find black cotton soil. What do people do? They dig like crazy,
Yes.
until they find hard rock. And then what do? They carry the soil and they do cutaway.
Yes.
Now the problem with that is that you need energy to dig. That's a lot of fuel, and then you need to transport that soil, and then you need to get an infill, which is also costly for the country. Now what we did for Viva Energy, we introduced a new technology called post-tension technology on slab. Now, pond tension is just very simple. It's just steel. So traditionally, the way steel bridges were used to be built, you use steel to suspend, to carry all that weight.
Yes.
If you've seen in some of these movies. Okay. Now we applied that on the, and then we only dig less than 500 mm, and the building is just floating on that because now you spread the weight across.
And the foundation is this steel structure.
Yes.
And
So steel and cement, you tension this. We call it post-tension because you cast the concrete, kokoto, yeah? And then after that, a few days later, 7 days later, you come and tense the concrete. You stress it. Now it's threatening to go up. Because it's threatening to go up, this steel, which is stronger, holds it back. And that's what, and now because you're spreading across the whole slab, all that weight is distributed.
But is it cost effective?
Extremely. It's actually probably 50% less than traditional construction.
Than digging all the way and cutting away the black cotton.
Yeah, because you see, I'm asking this because where I come from, it's black cotton soil. That thing moves.
Yeah, it does.
Yes.
Just keep shifting.
Yes, and you'll build your house, it starts cracking for you as you see.
That's true. That's absolutely true.
That's why what he's saying is of interest
resonating
to me, yes. Because I may need to rebuild that house again.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not.
No, it isn't cracked yet.
But you've seen from elsewhere.
If it rains, black cotton soil retains water, my friend.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Slides.
And yes, it's good for planting things. For buildings, it's tricky.
It's big issues.
Yes. So you're saying that when you put this foundation that you've spoken of, and it costs 50% less than the traditional one, so thereafter, do you just use the normal building materials to go up?
You're free to do anything. This is just for the slab.
Yes.
This is just for the slab
But
alone.
if you wanted to continue this eco-friendly approach to things.
Yeah. What else could you do?
Yeah, precisely. See, you are even a mind reader.
No. So then you could consider, materials that are local.
Yes.
As much local material as possible is a good thing. Because if you have to transport things from around the world, that's just more carbon footprint. Okay.
There's something that I've always found particularly interesting with regard to solar lighting, solar power.
Yes.
Why is it that despite the fact that we've had solar power for decades?
Yeah. 3 decades, 4 decades.
Yes. It's been there for the longest time.
Yeah.
Why is it that whenever one speaks of solar power, the efficiency that it brings about is not correlated with the cost? Why is it that it's not as cheap as it could be, given that the sun is free?
Good question. The answer is simple. 1970s, solar was already being used to send rockets to the moon. The problem is that until about 10 years ago, it wasn't completely commercially viable.
Why?
No, cost. So it was extremely costly. Since we installed the first solar system to get a PPA, Power Purchase Agreement at Strathmore University, solar has fallen by 3 times. Just that few years,
The cost of solar. Why has that happened?
I understand now why. So there have been significant advances in solar technology that have made it really, really, really possible for it to be affordable now. We have maybe 23% efficiency for the most advanced panel, which we call polycrystalline panel, but it doesn't really matter. So you can squeeze about 21% of the energy from the sun. So meaning the sun hits that panel, you can only extract 21%. So it's not a lot, but it's decent. What is extremely amazing with solar is that it's the most abundant resource globally.
Yeah.
Like the most abundant of the most abundant. Yeah. So if you draw cycles, everything is a dot as compared to solar. So it's a good thing to actually have it. But then we've also had advances in inverter technology. So if you think of solar, it's very simple. Panels on the roof, okay, to receive the sun, and then the earth, they call the inverter, which converts the current that comes called direct current into AC current. Alternating current is what we use to charge the phone, basically to live normal life. We use AC. Yeah, that's now. So there have been advances in inverter technology. There have been advances in panel technology. There have also been significant availability of capital funding. Today in Nairobi, you probably could get companies that can raise that have a little more than $500 million, like a lot of money chasing projects. Now, I know why. Let me answer your question. Why is it that it always looks like it's expensive? It looks like it's expensive for ordinary residential people like you and I. Why? Because you have to add one more component, which is called batteries. Now, once you add batteries are fallen back in the advancement of technology. Okay, so they are more expensive.
Why?
No, it's just. But there's a lot of change now.
Okay, let me ask the question. We just pause there with a just. What is it in the battery that could actually make it cost less? What is it that could be used in the manufacture of battery that would produce the output that we expect and yet make it more efficient and not as costly?
Yeah. So where we've seen massive success, so that I can come back to answering your question, where we've seen massive success is where you don't need to store the energy.
Yes.
If you need to store the energy, it's a problem. But there are other ways you can store energy. If you just pump, if you get solar from the energy and you're using it to pump water, that's a form of storage.
Yeah.
So the water takes that energy, but you're using it real time.
Yep.
So if you are in a building like Standard Group, there's absolutely no reason why you should not do solar, because all this
you're lighting,
you're powering all these advanced technology equipment. That's okay. So anyone that has a use case for during the day, fantastic. The problem is at night now we have to store energy, and lithium is still a problem, cadmium is a problem. So like there are now advancements that are coming up, and that said, even where we are today, over the last 5 years, is already 10% of the cost it was 10 years ago. But it's still not affordable enough for an ordinary person to actually pay. I mean, that said, if you buy your battery system today, you're probably looking at maybe 6-year, 7-year payback as a household. Let's say 7-year payback as a household. But the problem with that is that when you're communicating to people, they go like, but I don't want to pay my electricity 7 years in advance, especially if you're just if you're not just buying it for the green benefits. But for companies, it's 2 years payback. For companies, for factories that are using the power during the day, within 2 years it pays back.
Let me throw in a little conspiracy here. Conspiracy theory. I find my conversations are never complete unless I throw one in. And I'm going to ask the question. You're right. Solar came into being, one started hearing of it in the 70s. I know this because I was in primary school in the 1970s, and I started hearing of solar power. The question is, who has owned the patent of solar energy for the longest time? There are those, again, pure conspiracy, who have argued that it was the oil industry who owned it. Theory, I said, conspiracy. Now, solar presented direct competition to the oil industry. Direct. Theory, conspiracy. If indeed they were the ones who had a big say in it, why would they advance the technology? Let me explain why I'm saying this. I look at the advancement of this little gadget here called a telephone. I look at the advancement of something even smaller than this called a microchip. You mentioned lithium. Now, I look at the advancements in communication and how quickly it has moved. There's a direct correlation between that movement and the money that can be made from it and the vastness and the diversity that it represents. Now, solar would benefit us on this continent in the tropics tremendously.
You think oil companies are slowing us down intentionally?
My friend, that arithmetic.
Conspiracy.
I have given up. I said it's conspiracy because I look at the advancement right now of electrical cars, okay, and how quickly that has come in and the push towards. All I'm saying is, if you look at the speed with which technology moves, okay, and getting to it is far more difficult than solar, which is so readily available. You see what I'm asking? Why is it?
No, actually, to be fair, it's about time. We've already reached what they call grid parity. We've actually, one of the fastest advancement that you can ever think of is solar. I mean, right now, you have inverters that can monitor every single panel.
Fine, they can.
Okay. Right now, you have maybe, the only thing is we actually have material science, advancement, that can generate 40% more energy from the sun. The problem is they are not commercially viable and they are not good for the earth. If you go out mining them, cadmium and all these minerals, you actually generate more damage than
to the earth.
So there are advancements that can generate nearly double the capacity that solar can produce. It's just that they are not commercially viable, and that's the same thing for lithium. Or not rather storage generally. Storage, a broad range of storage technologies available. Is that we've seen significant advances. The problem is the commercialization. That takes a little bit of time because it requires one more thing, demand. The more people buy solar, which we are now beginning to see, is astounding. I mean, South Africa last year did maybe 100 megawatts, yeah, per annum. They've already done, I think they're approaching 2 gigawatts now. As a country, the whole of last year, we probably did 30, 40. Okay? So, but as the continent picks up and everyone likes solar, and you like solar, and we go to, every company starts to use solar, there is something that happens now. You have now more profit going back to R&D. Because R&D, research and development budget is a function of how much free cash flow are people willing to set aside, saying that the future, based on the promise of future cash flows in the future.
Yeah.
But that's it's happening a lot, and it's an exciting time actually to be.
We're heading there.
Yeah.
That's just part of you. Questworks that has taken up
that much time.
this much time. You'll tell us about your author journey through authoring and also the work that you do. Particularly that work that you do actually is of greater importance to me. The mentorship that you do across the country, and especially what you've done in your home county, giving back to your county of Elgeyo Marakwet and looking at what Elgeyo Marakwet then needs also going forward. Tim Kipchumba is a father, is an entrepreneur, is a husband, is a founder of a company called Questworks, is also an author, is a mentor, and is a son of Elgeyo Marakwet County. He's our guest this morning. As we take a break, October is coming. One big holiday that takes place in October in Kenya.
That one.
Yeah? Mashujaa Day. Right. So,
yes.
Mashujaa Day. This week, schools are reopening.
Yes. Today, tomorrow, Wednesday. Yes.
As we head into October, into Mashujaa, now we are joining those two things. Mashujaa of October and schools reopening. And Naivas has a Mashujaa offer, back to school offer, celebrating those that have made the year bearable so far as we're coming to the close of the year. Schools now open for the final term, and Naivas has a full back to school Mashujaa back to school offer. If you want to know more about this, just tune into The Drive with Edward Quach. From what time to what time?
From 3 to 7 p.m.
Yes, each and every weekday afternoon, 3 to 7 p.m. Edward Quach will be here telling you more about celebrating those that have been Mashujaas in our back to school, in our annual year in school. Keep it here for that. Courtesy of Naivas. Let's take a quick break at 9:30. We'll be back shortly with Tim Kipchumba. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
$18 degrees, cloudy conditions in Nairobi. We'll see highs of 25 and lows of 15. The sun is up in Nakuru at 20, highs of 24, and we'll see highs of 23 in a rainy Nyeri, currently at 16, 17 and sunny in Eldoret, highs of 24 and lows of 12, and we're looking at light rainy Mombasa at 25, low highs of 29 and lows of 23. Rain showers continue in Malindi at 28, highs of 29 and lows of 24, and it is sunny at 23 in Kisumu, highs of 29 and lows of 18. It's sunny at 24 in Kakamega, highs of 27 and lows of 15. All right, looking at rain showers in Kampala at 22, highs of 27, and 30 will be the high in a mostly sunny Dar es Salaam at 27. It's sunny at 21 in Johannesburg, highs of 29, and we'll see highs of 28 in a rainy Lagos this morning at 25. Partly sunny conditions at 23 in Kinshasa, highs of 32. And looking into Monday evening, it's going to be 29 the high in Beijing, light rain in Paris at 13, highs of 15, and 12 and cloudy in London, highs of 15 and lows of 10. It's clear Sunday night in New York. Coming into Monday, we'll see highs of 23 and lows of 15.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM.
So, God only knows what's going on Langata Road. I thought that the erection of this bridge was supposed to sort out that issue, but now we're seeing more traffic than we have before the bridge was erected. Okay, so I don't know, but there's a lot of traffic there, and it's inbound, and it's crazy, and it's all red, and it's been that way since about 7:30. So not quite sure what's causing that. On Huru Highway, getting out into the city, things have slowed down. You're going to get to that roundabout, Haile Selassie, and it'll slow down for you a little bit. What was going on Landis, that's being, it's reducing a little bit. Outbound traffic is now not there. Inbound traffic, another story. Onto Haile Selassie, moving really slowly. There's a mishmash of traffic in the CBD. We're looking at traffic also coming off of the Thika Superhighway into the city. We're also looking at it coming off of Kiambu Road, quite heavy as well. Let's keep an eye on things. Talk SpiceFM KE on Twitter through the morning and let us know what's going on where you are.
Spice FM. Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
Mornings 10, the conversation
done right.
continues with the son of Elgeyo Marakwet, Tim Kipchumba, who's here with us in the studio. He's a founder of Questworks. He's an author. He's also a mentor. Why did you get into the journey of mentoring? What's inspired it?
Good question. Really good question. So we're in Form 4 in Chebara High School. Chebara
is next to Chebara. Is it in the
Chebara? No, Chebara is in Nandi, but Chebara is in Elgeyo Marakwet. It's the place that is actually supplying all the water for Eldoret town. So we are in Form 4. A young girl who was in university at the time, I just got in a first class honors, came to speak to us. She was called Penina. Penina gave us a talk, one of those talks. And then, we hadn't seen that lady that successful. And she'd got a first class honors. She was already doing a master's. She was preparing to do, she had plans to do a PhD. So she spoke to us about the world that was possible if we worked hard at school, if we, and then she told us the story of Ben Carson. But, in advantage, she encouraged us to think and dream more. For the first time that year, we had the highest number of students go to university.
All right, from that school.
Yes, and I got an A minus. I ended up winning a scholarship to Strathmore University. I come to Strathmore University, I get completely scandalized because, coming from Marakwet, you come from Marakwet, those holidays, I hadn't seen ladies in trousers. Seeing someone like you was astounding because the only girls that would wear trousers those days were the ones that walked in a pub. So it was like an abomination. But anyway, so I get through, I come to Strathmore, and it's crazy because, people are crazy. So all the ladies are wearing trousers. People are announcing that they are going to the bathroom. I'm like, those things you never say. And, I really got astounded. And then I tried to vie for class rep, and it was even terrible because, I wore which I realized now was a big mistake. A green trouser, yellow flowered shirt, and a yellow jacket. And of course, I didn't get voted in. I didn't really quite look like them. So I tried to fit in Strathmore. I didn't quite fit in. But then something really happened, yeah? I started to work really hard. I started to get better at calculus, so I would teach my friends. The first term, I did really well. I got a first class. I mean, I was a dean's list. So I started to feel like, oh, maybe, just maybe, by working hard, I might be able to even if I don't fit in, I might just be able to get by. So we finish. I go to I go through Strathmore. On the final year, I made a decision that I will take these friends of mine that were laughing at my accent to Elgeyo Marakwet County. So we organized with Rotary Club, my area of member of parliament at the time, Honorable Lina J.P. Kilimo, a couple of people. I think I raised 127,000 shillings. And the idea was very simple, a trip to inspire. Okay? So I'll take my classmates, bus full of them, show them Elgeyo Marakwet County, make sure that they eat good food there, they smell the fresh air. We do a nice, decent road trip. They would be cooked for, and then they would actually, the only thing I needed from them in return is that they would just mentor the kids. When I come back, we realize, oh my goodness, we're not going to be able to do this the whole time. So that's how we ended up with my co-author, Rosemary, writing a book. So we wrote the first book, which is called Unstoppable, Achieving Excellence in High School and Beyond. If you wanted to think about it, just the way to think about it is just a guide for high school students. If you had a mentee today and they go to high school, the introductory guide is our book. And it's done really well. Like it's I think it's been read by over 300,000 students, mostly because a number of foundations like Equity and all these people patronized it, so they kept buying a couple of copies. But then, so we began our company a couple of years later, 2012, got so busy with it that I never got to do that. And then I just started realizing I'm losing my spirit and my soul. So 2016, I meet my governor, the former governor, coming out of the gym, and he says, listen, what can you do for the county? I'm like, okay, let me not waste this opportunity. At the time, he was with, I think, Mandago. And so I tell him, listen, why don't we organize the largest experiential mentorship program in the county? That was April 20th, 20-something. By June 6th, we descended in the county. He wasn't prepared for us. We took, 60, 70 mentors, mentoring about 7,000 students. And our format was very simple with Mentorton. It's called Mentorton, which is Mentorship Marathon. It's very simple. It's just, let's just get people like you to tell your stories. From where you were in high school, the decisions you made, what has made all the difference for you, the mistakes you made, until where you are. And that's really turned out to be really well. I mean, it was popular with the mentors. Initially, I thought I might struggle getting mentors, but it turns out that we couldn't even accept enough mentors.
How did you access the mentors? What was it that you required of them beyond volunteering?
So it's just, initially the first group, it was just vetting people that I would know, that we would know that they are of good character. Okay.
It didn't matter where they came from.
No, it didn't matter. Of course, we had a bias to say, okay, since we were doing Elgeyo Marakwet County, we did Laikipia, as much as possible. At least 50-60% of the mentors would be people that would be at least thought of as, because if I take only Latif alone, I take you alone, they go like, but
don't we have people who...
No, not just that, just that. They actually like it, but they're like, but that is them. Marakwet, Elgeyo Marakwet, we have our own problems. So you always want to remove that excuse, yeah? So what we would do is we would do a combination.
So you have somebody from outside
Elgeyo Marakwet. So we would have all the... If a member of parliament came, would come and attended all 8, or anyone came, they wouldn't talk politics. It would just be telling their own stories. Because I really firmly believe that the way to poison a nation is to poison its stories. But the other thing is that we already know, we have empirical data and empirical research that shows, one of them is a post-election violence research that we led at Strathmore University. I was the team leader. We interviewed young people that participated in post-election violence, asking them, what is it that basically asking this question. Asking this question, what is it that made these young people move from being non-violent to being violent? And then collecting so much data, and we got an American university to help us crunch the data. All sorts of sophisticated statistical tools, Bayesian modeling, BBN, all that stuff that is Monte Carlo simulation, for instance. Monte Carlo simulation allows you to take 1,500 data set and then remove the noise and then spill it over to say 10,000, so that you have a decent sample. We found out, we found out several factors that can predict the likelihood of a young person in Kenya today becoming violent by 91%. Several factors.
For the indicators.
Yeah. But one of them, just one, could predict the likelihood of a young person becoming violent by 49%. Guess what it is?
No, I'm not going to guess. I'm going to wait for you to tell me.
Poverty?
Poverty.
Well, good guess, not the right one. You have to try. If you were in school in 1970, you probably noticed. You have to try.
I was in primary school in part of it, and then I was in secondary school in the 1970s.
You're not aging at all.
So a guess. Hazard a guess, City.
Yes.
There's no wrong answer here. Student.
You do know that I was a teacher once upon
Of
a time.
course.
So
I have to remind you what you used to tell us.
This reverse psychology on me
It's not going to work.
There's no wrong answer.
I'll tell you what I think it is.
It might be,
Fear.
A little. You're close. The right word, the right technical term is called self-efficacy. But let's reduce it to self-efficacy is the link between effort and belief. I mean, the link between effort and what you want in life. If a young person believes that, if they believe that their own effort can get them what they want in life, they were 49% less likely to be violent, which is really impressive, because what has happened in the last decade is because of entrepreneurship, because of betting, because of all sorts of things. That belief has now been eroded even more. People actually don't believe that their own effort can get them what they want in life. And so if we really wanted to reverse violence, to create gainful employment, if we wanted to actually bring peace, if we wanted to bring prosperity for the country, one of the things we must work on is the self-belief of the young people of this country.
That
because
your
the
effort
median
will
age,
translate to something.
Yes, but the only way to do that is to do it practically, is to create a legislative agenda to make sure that we are telling positive stories about the country. We are actually constantly working to increase the odds that a young person can actually get what they want in life if they actually work hard. Increasingly right now in Kenya, because the opportunities have shrunk because of the performance of the last 10-year government, we've seen despair. Despair even from the top. I think the most famous is when the president of the country says, "Oh my goodness, what do you want me to do?" Like, you can't have that resignation in the country, because when you have that resignation in the country, people are like, "Okay, what do we do?" No, it's crazy. It's even better to lie. But then there is an opportunity. There is a real opportunity, I think, in this coming decade, especially with this with this ASLA government, to see if we can actually help meet the aspiration of young people. And we cannot meet them, honestly, just by mentorship. Will be one of them. The other one is creating an enabling environment for businesses to thrive, so that you have several quest works.
Can I jump in there?
Yes.
Because I think when we say that, the question is then, how can that happen? Show the mentoring, and then you're in several sessions of mentorship. And I mean, having been through mentorship, you come out and you're inspired. On that day, Tim, you feel great.
But the following day,
somebody has said something to you and think, "Oh, fantastic, I'm walking on clouds. I can actually do this." But guess what? You go to bed, you wake up the next morning, and then it hits you like a ton of bricks, and you're like, so this inspiration, do I eat it? What are these things that can I jump on?
Can I also jump on the jump you've just jumped?
Jump ahead.
Okay. Sometimes just getting a starting point is the problem.
Yes.
If someone can make you feel that there is hope and that tomorrow need not be as dreary as you thought, I don't think you can get a better start than that, because then you remove someone from that depressive state that they were slowly and most surely getting into. And with that hopeful frame of mind, you're more likely to see opportunities and to take them when they present themselves than if you were of the other persuasion, because an opportunity can slap you in the face if you're in a depressive state and you won't see it.
Now, these opportunities that we're talking about, I think is what Tim was alluding to here. Now, working with government of the day and say, look, we're going to create an enabling environment to then match this newfound hope to these opportunities that will slap you in the face.
And that's shortening the distance.
Exactly. Shortening that distance.
Let me jump on this slap again.
And so now the question is...
What are those?
Thank you.
Yeah. No, I think we have an opportunity. I mean, this government at least they wrote the only hope, Asla government, the only hope was young people and more generally Aslas. And I think they have a really exciting opportunity. I mean, Asla Fund, 50 billion, may not necessarily cure. Maybe, I did quick numbers, maybe 100,000 jobs per annum.
Maybe.
Okay. 100,000.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Which is not a bad thing because, that's already a tenth of the young people that we are generating, but it's still a tenth. The other one that I really, really think that will be fantastic is the MSME and cooperative development, because if you can get more people to be gainfully employed in the industries that can make us competitive, agriculture, food, manufacturing a little bit, value addition, I think that will be exciting because then you can have a significant multiplier effect. But the one that I really would like to see if I ever serve in this government, stake my life on, is diaspora. It's not really diaspora. I don't want to call it diaspora. I'm calling it power. Presidential Overseas Workers Employment Response. Today, our foreign remittances is $4 billion, just about. It's a fraction.
Per annum.
It's a fraction. It's a tenth of what Philippines is enjoying today. But Philippines' strategy was extremely deliberate. They created a full legislative agenda to just make sure remember, there are 1,700 universities. You have 1,700 universities, you will going to have a rebellion in the country because everyone will have a master's and a PhD, and they will have diplomas and they will be skilled and they won't have anything to do. So what do they do? Export. Today, they receive $40 billion per annum in foreign remittances.
Only
$40 billion. 40 billion is what? Close to 5 trillion.
From
Kenyan
educated
shillings.
Filipinos working
Only.
abroad.
And you know what they do mostly? Nannies around the globe.
Yes.
Nannies around the globe.
Au pair.
They have masters in early childhood development, earning 3 times the salary they would earn as teachers or lecturers in Philippines. To begin with, Nigeria last year, their revenues exceeded revenues from foreign remittances exceeded revenues from oil.
Right.
True.
Fantastic. Like, that's really good news. Now, let me pair this with the real opportunity that I see. We have 6 to 9 million young Kenyans today in Kenya. There is just not amount of enough local opportunity we can create for them. Just not enough, because you have a pent-up demand of 6 to 8 to 9 million, and then you have growing 900 to a million per annum. So, meaning, as the government, if they don't do anything between now and the end of 10 years, you're going to have what? 10 million young people unemployed, plus the 9 million or so. So that's already 19 million.
Yep.
It's enough to ban the country.
Yep.
But there's an exciting opportunity. Imagine President William Ruto decides today, we're going to send 1 million young people out of the country. And I tell you, there are opportunities. Canada today has a shortage of 1 million workers as we speak. Right now, 32,000 truck drivers. Because Canada relies heavily on Northern America. So they actually pay their truck drivers more than they pay their pilots. Right? Not completely accurate, but they are paid reasonably well. Okay? They are paid reasonably well. Italy, they lost 25% of their health force during COVID.
Yes.
Today, UK government just set up a committee to urgently recruit 100,000 nurses from Kenya. What's the problem? We don't have a system to actually make sure we can send
our nurses
we can
to
send
the UK.
our people to America. I have a friend of mine that runs a nursing home in the US, 6 nursing homes. You become very, very, very senior in the US, 60, 70 years, you need to go to a nursing home if you don't have family taking care of you most of the time. And you pay $10,000 per month. Guess how much the nurses are making? $3,000, $4,000. Not so bad. But then the problem is, we need to make sure that they can pass the entrance exam. The only place you can sit on the exam is South Africa or India. So I think that there is a real opportunity to create a government administration, a legislative agenda to match the excess demand in skilled labor in our market with the worker shortage in first world countries. I mean, I've not even told you about Asia. The number of Kenyans that are in Asia. So it's the opportunity of our decade. Now let me paint the picture for you if we manage to succeed. If we send 1 million young people today, or It doesn't need to be young people. It could be anyone out of the country.
A million Kenyans.
A million Kenyans out of the
Those
country.
whom we have in abundance are the young ones.
Exactly.
So,
And the median age of the country is young. So if we send 1 million young people, guess what will happen? They will probably send us maybe what, $100 per month from next year? So that's $1,000. That's already $1 billion. We've already
From
grown
those
our
1 million
remittances.
people, yeah.
We've already grown our remittances by 25% more.
Yep.
Now, guess what will happen? If they are as adventurous as you are, all good voices, like Kenyans, we have good ingenuity. We actually melt more. We speak better English. Guess what will happen? They're gonna marry there. They're gonna have friends there, and they will talk about their country. Especially, we can make the country better.
Yep.
We actually work towards making the country better and brand the country better. They're going to bring their girlfriends, they're going to bring their boyfriends, they're going to bring their kids. Then next year, they will have 3 million visitors. Guess what will happen now? The airport at JKI won't be enough. Now we need to build a bigger airport because our airport can only handle a million visitors a year. Now, 3 million Kenyans returning home is already what? They come on holiday, maybe each of them spend $1,000 per person, so 100,000 shillings per person. That's already what? That's already 400 billion Kenya shillings that can just come from tourism. The way to grow tourism is to actually send our people out of the country and they speak about Kenya. Is to make the country, and the opportunities are just
there are many.
Like they are
So,
endless
Tim,
and amazing. Yeah.
You've even come up with an acronym for it. You call it POWER and all this. You have friends in government, right? People from Elgeyo Marakwet County, like your namesake.
My friend, Kipchumba Murkomen.
Kipchumba Murkomen, who is the current senator, and others. Have you had a conversation with them? Have
Yes,
you
yes.
had a sit down with the President William
Absolutely.
Ruto?
But which is why I want to play my role.
What role do you want to play?
I want to play my role advocating for this opportunity. I want to play my role, hopefully, when the opportunity comes, potentially, to push for a legislative agenda to make this possible. Remember, if we're sending 1 million people out of this country, 1 million young people out of this country, we're going to need to process 3,000 passports per day. You're not going to have them queuing in Nyayo House. You need a dedicated line for them.
Yeah.
We need a dedicated line at the airport just for that. And Philippines have done that. They have dedicated overseas lounges, overseas workers lounges. They have a dedicated bank called OFP, Overseas Filipino Bank. Like, you have to be deliberate about it. I mean, the ambassadors cannot just be asleep. The ambassadors actually have to have a quota. Because if you're getting
of the kind of jobs that they are securing,
if you're getting 1 million,
Kenyans.
most likely 800,000 of those jobs have to come from 10 ambassadors. Then you're giving an ambassador
a quota,
a job, telling them, listen, we need these opportunities. The opportunities will come this way, this way, this way. And then they now have to do, if you are a Canadian ambassador to Canada, you have to worry about bringing the Federation of Canadian Employers to Kenya. Say, come and meet our people. Come and see our land. Listen to them. Speak to employers in Kenya. Let them give you feedback. And then when they go back home, we tell them, okay, now we want 100,000 from Canada. But that requires that the foreign affairs actually changes. Because if it doesn't change, we are in trouble. Because we need a whole full machinery. You need foreign affairs, you need the Ministry of Diaspora.
So do we need a law for this?
We need law.
So we need law.
You need laws. You need to legislate. You need a strong intergovernmental collaboration. Because now you're gonna have foreign affairs. You don't want the overseas workers being treated, and people are like, they are not ours.
Yep.
So you need the Ministry of Diaspora that is now being newly formed, already embedded. You probably even need to change, the financial system just to allow, because they cannot be explaining. If they are sons of this country, they cannot be explaining what the source of their money
how
is.
they got the money that they are sending back home.
And then we need other things. We need welfare for them. I mean, in Philippines, they are very aggressive. They actually considered modern day heroes. In the olden days, heroes were people that would go out there to hunt, bring cattle and return it back home. Today, the real warriors for this country are people that are paying their taxes, and especially if they are braving new lands, places where they don't have family support, they don't have their culture, they are going out of their comfort zone, and in return, we get many more things. We get friends of this country, we get forex, we get foreign remittances. So I think that's really the opportunity of this decade.
Many opportunities. Sim, President William Ruto is due to announce his cabinet
anytime soon.
His principal secretaries, chief administrative secretaries, which are still illegal in the way they are being done, but also that's not the point. As he does that, and we see how his structure of government is, and whether you've seen any opportunity, you'll be coming And let's talk about this. Let's talk about how best the Ruto administration can make sure that we actually get the full potential of our.
I love it. This is the true conversation for this decade.
That is
it's the opportunity of our young people. When I met President Obama in 2016, he said something that really struck with me. He said, the greatest challenge in Africa in the next decade is connecting young people with opportunities.
And that's true. Tim Kipchumba is an author. He's a mentor. He's a founder of a company called Questworks. He is also somebody who's very, very passionate, as you've heard, about the country and about his people, where he's come from, Elgeyo Marakwet County. What's that village again called?
Well, I come from Sambirir, but the village is called Kapkomora.
Kapkomora. Yo. If you go to NairobiMarathon.com, Tim, you'll be able to register for the 2022 Stanchart Nairobi Marathon, right? And we start feeling like athletes. You know, the people of Elgeyo Marakwet County are some of the best athletes in the country. So we start training for the marathon that's going to take place on the 30th of October. And a week prior to that is a virtual marathon where you just register online, you run, you record your times, and you do well. That's a Nairobi Marathon. So you're part of this. You're in it. You agree to do this with us.
Absolutely.
Abbas, that's all we need. That's all we need. Thank you very much for tuning in to Kenya's biggest conversation today. Even Ndu has been practicing.
Yep.
CT is back. He's starting to, get ready. I'm also getting ready for my 5-kilometer walk.
I've been walking. You're allowed to walk.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Have a lovely day, folks. It's now 10 a.m. We'll be back tomorrow morning.
Spice up your life